go.
All right, this is part 2.
What's up, guys?
Part 2 of Luke Hamilton's Night.
Wow. It's been a long night so far, too, right? It's been a really long night.
Yeah, but not as long as some of our nights.
No, we're talking 4 hours plus.
I mean, it's not even.
It's good.
It's not even 5 in the morning yet.
Well, what does that mean? We got to do it till 5 in the morning.
No, we don't have to. But
drink beer until 5 o'clock in the morning and run a risk of being pulled over by some overzealous cops, which circle the block looking for assholes like me at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
It's the joy of coming down to downtown, you know?
I love downtown.
Love it.
I don't know why you haven't moved here yet.
I am not of the means to do so, unfortunately. I can't fathom paying rent right now, like to anybody but my current situation. Yeah. I couldn't do it. Not a full slate, not for the value that you're getting down here. If anything, it would be to save up a down payment on a, like I've been looking at the West Harbor complex lately. I understand it's like 80% sold or whatever, but you know, why are we even talking about Hamilton housing? What do people really even know about?
Nobody knows. Not even Hamilton.
Well, apparently some people do. Apparently when something like a brand new development happens in this city, apparently the first ones to know about it are actually the outsiders. and the second to bid is like the community open house and shit.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, by the way, the rest of you bums in Hamilton, you guys can bid on the scraps. Here you go.
That's because they send emails to people in Toronto.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, right.
I get those emails.
There's mailings going out in like Newmarket and Woodbridge for developments going on in Hamilton and shit, right? Because, you know, everybody wants to live semi-close to Toronto, but who the fuck wants to live north of Toronto?
Nobody.
Everything past that is uncivilized, right?
Well, the marketing scheme of Hamilton is like, hey, look, it's like Toronto because it's a city.
Yes.
But then you can leave and then go to like the real city, which is Toronto. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, and they're building trains, so you can get there easier.
They're sort of building trains. We haven't quite got to the point where
it's all part of the plan.
We haven't quite got to the point where we have a real service going back and forth between the two, but I guess progress is slow.
That's all part of the future plan, though. Like once the trains are going through regularly, more people from Toronto are going to move down here.
I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure there's
because it's better than a bedroom community.
Yes,
it's an actual city.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are probably in the same boat. You know, they live like next door to like a fucking world city. You know, I can imagine the same thing being true of people that live, in the just north of Los Angeles, or in the boroughs, like in the far boroughs of New York, or what it would be like to live in a place like that. I think there's so many people that live in the shadows of these mega cities, and they probably understand the politics. Probably, like when we're bringing up like stupid issues like this that are localized, there's probably, if there was a reasonable amount of listeners out there that were listening to this, they would probably pick up on that and be like, yeah, I can relate to that. Like, I live like in the north of Milwaukee. Milwaukee gets all the goddamn money.
Yeah. It would be the same anywhere, for sure.
Those bastards get all the prime transit projects.
If I could say anything on the issue, it's like, if you plan on working in Toronto, just fucking move to Toronto.
Yeah.
Go like head first into it.
Yes.
Just do it.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's expensive, but if you want to live that lifestyle, that's what you have to fucking do.
Because you have to
If I ever moved to Toronto, I'd have to live in Toronto, 100%.
Certain people we know prove that
That's it.
It's a certain character of individual. It's a certain breed of individual who's attracted to that type of environment, right? And to those people, you would say, yeah, go for it. I mean, if it's if it literally, like, I had an ex-girlfriend who was the same. She came from a place well beyond here. Let's just say another side of this country. And came here and fucking, didn't like Hamilton at all. Cosmopolitan, floozy. essentially. But yeah, no. I mean, went back to where she came from, and then ended up coming back and living in Toronto and now she's like, I'll just get random messages once in a while. I just loving life. I'm doing this. What are you doing? Nothing good, believe me.
Nothing good.
No. I mean, I know what she does. It's not necessarily for wholesome family programming. That's for sure. We can drop F-bombs, but we're not going to talk about ex-girlfriends' choices of professions. Bloody stripper.
Yeah, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own path in life,
Yeah,
right, man?
yeah, well,
I mean,
is.
if she wants to move here from Vancouver, then...
Hey, I didn't say Vancouver, motherfucker.
I'm just speculating.
You're positing.
I'm speculating at this point.
There he goes again. No, that's, so...
Very speculative, but...
We had some really, really good conversation, I think, in the first part there. That really kind of... it talked about how you started off by asking a question probably not too long into the first segment where you were saying you were asking a question could different countries with different political and economic philosophies and stuff like that, could they get together? There is and I told you too that I fundamentally believe that it is possible. And I think that there is a couple of antagonists that if those antagonists were taken out of the picture, it's I think peace, so to speak, and cooperation might stand a better chance. But I just wanted to touch on something that goes to like deeper political philosophy and what guides different countries to act and behave the way that they do. So like a lot of even the political theory that is taught in Asian universities is focuses quite a bit on some of the early literature from the Enlightenment. Where a lot of these well-to-do scholars in England and France, they were having debates. They lots of argumentative debates about everything. One of the primary debates that they stumbled upon, there's this argument between two British. I believe they were both in. They were either in the House of Commons or the House of Lords. I can't remember. I'm not a British historian, but one's name is Thomas Hobbes and the other is John Locke. I don't think they were ever. They were years apart. They weren't ever in Parliament together, but this characteristic, their debate and the fruits and contents of their debate really guides much of how each individual country perceives its ability to cooperate with one another. So Thomas Hobbes, he believed that the argument that they were having was fixated around this idea of human nature, and what if you were to remove humans from every bit of material element around them and just put human beings down, would they be able to cooperate, or would they form factions and start killing each other and murdering each other? So we were having this state of nature debate about the very fundamental nature of the human being, right? And Hobbes argued that if you were to remove human beings from every form of material creation, that be it the law, consumption, all this, take it away, put them back in a perfectly agrarian spot with no tools, no knowledge, whatever, that what would end up happening is people would cannibalize each other. The state of nature, if people were left alone and ungoverned, they would just evolve and murder each other, essentially. And Thomas Locke, it's kind of a weird thing, right? Like, this goes against what
it's a weird thought, but I mean, like, it's easy to see that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I necessarily believe that it would be like a war, war of all against all. I'm not necessarily convinced that, if you hit the reset button on humanity, essentially, my opinion is we'd probably go through exactly the same cycle again, where we'd end up with, conflicts that grew into ever increasing brutal wars as our technological advancements and the arrogance of certain leaders progressed. But
yeah, little tribal conquests and conflicts would end up turning into gigantic, lasting problems
Yeah.
between regions.
Yeah. So Thomas Hobbes believed that if you were to take just remove humans to their purest form as just a species that was forced to get together because they had nothing else, they would end up, killing and cannibalizing each other. Like people just couldn't get along without rules and regulations. They couldn't, restrictive rules and regulations, so to speak, right?
So anarchy doesn't work.
Anarchy doesn't work. Yeah. Anarchy and I mean, it's not only is it just an argument against anarchy, but to a certain degree, not entirely, but an argument against communism. Right? Like, yeah, you had that. There was this underlying belief that communal, like, you couldn't get together as a community. You couldn't do anything productive. You couldn't fucking grow the wheat because you needed 10 people to grow the wheat. But the conflict in Hobbes' argument was if nobody could get together for the purpose of a greater good, then how did they get together to grow the wheat? Right? So to a certain degree, the message is also anti-communist. Right? Yeah. So fantastic, right? But Locke actually argued that no, if you removed all the material contents from a human being's life and you stuck simply humans in the middle of a primordial forest with a bunch of other humans, that the first thing that they would do is they would try to come up to with cooperative solutions, finding cooperative solutions to their problems. And he argued that essentially that's the way civilization was created. Civilization wasn't created because every man just killed each other instantly when they saw each other. Civilization was created because people knew that the problems they were trying to solve were greater than their own. Thus, they had to get together. It was a communal effort, right?
In order to create society.
Yeah, but these two ideas, this one idea with two very different ways of looking at it, informs the way a lot of governments look at the world, look at their own people. It's amazing how much philosophy from the Enlightenment still guides a lot of maybe not even just in a legislative sense, but in a metaphysical sense, in a way that's just subconscious to the people who are perpetuating it. We're always doing it. We're reproducing it. So I find it pretty remarkable because when we were talking about different countries getting along and stuff like that. Part of that has to do with the way that their government looks at the world, I guess, would be a very important part. Like, you may look at a country like China and you may think, well, if, they went through two consecutive opium wars with England and the United States and France, and they may be jaded to that, or they may see the Lockean view of humanity and say, maybe our ultimate goals are bigger than that, and maybe cooperation trumps a state of basically murder.
Right.
Like murder regimes,
devolution or something.
Yeah, absolutely. But the United States actually takes the opposite view. The United States operates more on a Hobbesian, the views of Thomas Hobbes. A lot of the policymakers are informed by this deep idea that you can't have people don't act in the best interest if they're not provoked to do so. So you have many different tools at your disposal to make that happen, but the ultimate goal is to try to convince them that that's the right thing to do, or else it's a brutal world out there, and states are looked at as brutal actors who act only in their own self-interest, and it's ruthless. And if people are willing to subscribe to the idea of cooperation, it just shows weakness in some way. I don't know. It's a pretty remarkable thing how a simple political philosophy, and not only a simple political philosophy, but one that wasn't even developed for taking a look at the. It wasn't an idea that came by way of looking at countries and the way they behaved towards one another. It was an argument that came out of liberal individualism. They were having an argument about individual people. And somehow that idea of liberalism transcended from the idea of the individual onto the state at some point. Very problematically, too. Like, as you can see with these arguments, it's like, is the world a place where everybody just kills each other if there aren't checks and balances? Or is it a place where if we don't govern as much, everybody could get along a little bit more? It's a fascinating thing, right? Like, there's a lot of, like, the United States is very much in the rules-based, in the game of rules-based institutionalism, but too often, they've been accused of, rightfully so, of trying to essentially rig the institutions in their own favor. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for that fact, people would accept the legitimacy of the international institutions a lot more, I think. Yeah.
But there's also kind of this like strongman argument about the states where like you have to kind of assert your dominance and take what you want.
Take what's yours.
Take what's yours, essentially.
What's yours is mine.
Out of the system, but also out of life in general. I think that's something that's deeply rooted in Americanism.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I mean to a degree, but this wasn't always the case with the United States. Like if you go back to as late as World War II, you know, what came out of World War II is nothing less than the most comprehensive rebuilding and restructuring plan that the world had ever seen, and it was spearheaded by a United States which valued cooperation over all things. Right? Like it would the Marshall Plan, the plan that the American government in collaboration with European governments had to rebuild Europe after World War II wouldn't have been possible without that degree of cooperation. The number of institutions that were agreed on after that, the UN emerged. The World Bank emerged. Mm-hmm. Like all this consensual institution building that happened out of World War II would have never happened if the United States was the country it is today. Right?
So at what point do you think that changed? Where it went from benefiting the world at large into what it is now, where it's America first and everyone else can go fuck themselves?
Yeah. You know, I think that's probably a pretty interesting question. I would probably say after Vietnam. Probably after Vietnam. I think the Vietnam War probably drained the regime from all its self-restraint and taxed, you know, even the most hardened policymakers right to the bone with the constant, you know, the constant rebellions and protests and you know, the lack of approval. Like, you know, back in the day, you know, if you were operating at like a 30% approval rating, that was considered a problem. You know, we've had consecutive presidents now that have operated at 30% or so for their whole tenures, and it's not a problem anymore. So approval rating doesn't really mean much anymore, I guess. I don't know. There's such a low percentage of the American population that actually votes that it's really like.
Yeah, what is the percentage? 5?
No, it's more than that.
0?
0?
It's all fake numbers.
-2. Well, it is.
-2.
It is all fake numbers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's pretty.
If you've been following,
it's pretty obvious.
If you've been following the Democratic primaries with any fervor, you'll know
it's something like 50% or something, right?
It's all fake. Yeah, I think
it's closer to only like 50%.
Their turnout is like
population.
between 40 and 50%. I would say, yeah. Yeah.
Which I get, like, it kind of makes sense that it would be. That's a pretty low number, but obviously there's a lot of young people that aren't eligible to vote anyways.
Nope.
So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to figure out those numbers when you're, you know, you're trying to make a. You're trying to put this together for 300 million people, and it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe like 50 million of those people can't even vote. So what the fuck are you trying to figure out here?
You know, but they've the political establishment has done such a good job of gerrymandering so that, you know, the same parties get in the same areas all the time. Like they redraw the boundaries of their electoral like it's the most ridiculous thing is that they're able to re-legislate the boundaries of each of their areas. And what ends up happening is what's called gerrymandering. So you've got one party that's in power in a certain district in Texas. They literally rebound the district so that it incorporates more Republican houses than Democratic houses to ensure that that seat consistently goes to the Republicans every year. And they have the ability to do this. It's perfectly legal. Nobody ever questions the practice of doing it. It's there. I think it is illegal, but nobody ever says anything about it, right? Like the political system in the United States is a lot more malleable than a lot of people think, right? They the powers that be have recreated and redrawn the borders and re-legislated the possible many, many, many times. So it's really awkward, and I don't think any of it's done with like a democratic impetus. Right? Like a lot of it is really just self-interest and ensuring survival. And it's all the greedy things that you would expect somebody who believes a Hobbesian view of the world to do. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, what's the point? Is there entire system just trying to make it easier for corporations or something? Like,
oh God.
Like what exactly is the point of rigging elections like this?
To make it, well, no. The gerrymandering?
Yeah.
Gerrymandering is strategic self-interest on behalf of the parties, not on behalf of the corporations. Now, like, it's just to ensure that when they redraw the boundaries of a seat, right? So like take Texas, for example. Texas might be for a Senate, it might have I don't know, let's just make up a number, 80 congressional districts. Each of those congressional districts has a head. That representative will go to to Washington to represent that district or represent it in their own territory. It's their choice. But that's what happens, right? So you're looking at each individual, say there's 80 of these districts in Texas, take one. And Jill Jones, a lifelong Republican, wins a seat in District 35 in West Texas, right? Mm-hmm. Now, because she's the head of that district, she's able to rebound the boundaries of her district with the collaboration of the districts around her to better facilitate the continuance of their actual party, i.e. to make sure that their party always retains that seat. So it's a constant reorganization of the political map to make sure that both sides get each self-interested side gets their piece. Yeah. Now, what they do when they get there? Now, okay, so you're talking about two different things. You were asking about benefiting corporations. Well, the point that I was just making earlier doesn't really have anything to do with benefiting corporations. But what happens when these elected representatives get there? Well, I'm in the 10th district in West Texas. My name is Jill Smith. I have a Lockheed Martin ammunitions facility within my district, and I'm somebody who's kind of against the military-industrial complex. I kind of ran on that, with my constituents. I made it known, but then Lockheed Martin's going to eventually come and visit me in my office and say, "Look, you have 1,300 jobs in your district. Are you going to lose those?" And Jill Smith is, 10th district in West Texas. Her total population is like 55,000. 1,300 of them are employed at this Lockheed Martin factory. What's she going to say?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Now, that's where the corporations come in. Okay? Now, you better believe this example that I'm using of defense contractors, this is a very, very prevalent one in this context because the military contractors have done such a fantastic job of inserting themselves in almost every congressional district in the country. And they use this carrot and stick approach exactly the way I just explained it to you. You know what? It may be easy for the governor of New York to say no, but if you're the mayor of Des Moines, Iowa, or the governor of Iowa, maybe it's not so easy for you. Right? Yeah. So it's
real shifty.
It is real shifty. Yeah, you're fucking right. It is. And I will add to this that there's no partisanship when it comes to corporate sellouts. They both do the same. Red or blue, they're both selling out exactly the same. They're meeting in the middle. That's what the whole thing is. Like it's like I was joking.
So it's propping up like the status quo.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Like
I was.
there's
it's like
no,
I was
there's
saying.
never going to be any.
It's like I was saying earlier. You're getting this Coke and Pepsi dichotomy in the red and blue, but they're out golfing with each other on the weekends.
Yeah.
People don't realize this, but the Bushes and the Clintons are actually like famously friends, like super friends. Talking like fucking super friends. Like that's a little bit weird, don't you think? Like the Clintons are supposed to represent this like revolution of the political left.
Sure.
Yeah, well, then
Revolution.
Listen, whatever the narrative is, I'm not trying to tell you I subscribe to it. I'm just trying to tell you this is
that's
the
idea.
This is what's being sold to the public. But yeah, and the Bushes, oh my God, far right oil tycoons, like up there with the Koch brothers, like shit, right? Golfing on Saturdays together.
So it's kind of like it's a weird like chess game.
No, the truth,
Or I don't know, like, whatever it is, it's like
the truth is
the ruling elites have this weird like little game they're having here.
Where
they're both agreeing that they're gonna pick sides, and it could be any fucking side. Yeah. Like, what if Bush was just decided he was left?
That's right.
And then started talking of leftist policies.
Yeah,
wouldn't change anything.
A lot of people before Trump ran 4.5 years ago. A lot of people were questioning why he was running for the Republicans because he wasn't considered a traditional Republican.
That's a really good example of that.
Yes.
Because he always voted Democrat. He was friends with Democrats. There's
right.
tons of pictures with him hanging out with the Clintons.
A couple pictures of him with Epstein, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Look, I'm not saying that he was engaged, and I'm just saying like, yeah, you just make sure you pick your partners. You're a pretty famous dude. If you,
but that's the thing. Like he's like getting back to my point. Like he's a great example of that, of a guy who can just play the game.
Yes.
And then really, technically, anybody could play the game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true.
He realized that the Republicans he could easily beat out.
Well,
and then maybe the Democratic Party wouldn't have been as easygoing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, he saw what happened to Sanders, right?
So the Republicans fit his narrative of what he needed to get done, and he played it.
Yep.
Played the game well.
Well, I mean, if you recall back at the very beginning, he didn't have the support of many of the linchpin Republicans either. No. He was pissing off a lot of people in the Republican Party. He wasn't...
but now they all love him.
Well,
apparently.
He brought the party back for them.
Mm-hmm.
They thought he was going to be a complete disaster for the Republican Party.
He was going to destroy the party.
And actually, he really didn't do any of that. And I mean, I'm not in love with the direction that he's taken the party. I think he plays too much to the ultra nationalist, ultra right wing a little bit too much. I think. I don't think that's necessarily in his nature. I think that's something he's developed since he's been in the White House, to be honest with you. Like even people like Larry King, when you listen to, I was watching an interview with Larry King the other day, and he was saying, yeah, I've known Trump for fucking decades, right? And he was asked point blank, he's like, do you think Trump is a racist? He's like, he's many things, but he's not a racist.
Yeah.
So this is pandering.
That's what a lot of people say.
He's an amazingly cunning businessman, and he's really businessmanning his way right through the White House.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
That's all it is, right?
Yep.
But he's one of the few presidents in our modern time that doesn't have a signature war to his name.
Never started a war.
So you gotta look at some things and say,
actually pulling the troops out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you got to look at some things. I mean, he's an idiot savant. Sometimes he's successful in spite of himself. He's often wrong. He's often not right. He's often just off the cuff. But I honestly don't believe, like when I'm watching some of the media coverage and stuff like that, like it's easy to get a really twisted spin on it when you turn on CNN, God forbid, for like 3 minutes and have to stomach that before you puke. You see all these things, and if you're a smart person, you start to tally it up. It's like, they were, first of all, it's the whole Russian collusion and blah blah blah. It's like, you know what? No matter who got in, if it wasn't Hillary Clinton, they were going to be pushing this bullshit narrative. No matter who it was, it wouldn't have mattered, right? And I think personally that we still would have had the evil other narrative that would have been going on. Like whoever it was, even if it wasn't Donald Trump, it was, Joe Dixon who beat Hillary Clinton in 2016. We would have been slandering Joe Dixon right now. It wouldn't have mattered one bit. So I think it's all a bunch of it's a nonsense narrative. But also, Donald Trump does have a lot of. The weird part about the Donald Trump hate affair in the liberal media is it's not necessarily true, and it's not necessarily there. It's not an actual thing. A lot of these people actually associate with him or people around him as well. So, he lives in New York, right? Like, it doesn't make sense that his paths don't cross with some of these people in media. And, like, absolutely, it does. He does. Absolutely. So, and these people, they're not fond of him either. Like, some of them actually, they say that he's a relatively decent person when he's not on camera. He's not being a fucking, being a goddamn Twitter,
that's kind
Twitter
of like
lark.
that's kind of like the showman version of Trump, especially during the years where he was actually on reality TV.
Yeah,
like hosting a show. I mean, if you're going to be on cable TV and doing this reality show, I mean, there's got to be a certain showmanship to it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
You gotta like play the game, right?
You gotta Simon Cowell your way,
and that's
through
for
it.
sure what he's been doing this entire time.
Do you remember just to like hold your thought though? Hold your thought. You got your thought. But did you ever watch America's Got Talent or anything? I never watched the show. I watched it very passively.
No, not really.
Do you remember when it first came out though? It was like Simon Cowell. He was just this scathing British ogre.
Yeah.
Didn't love anybody, hated everybody.
Yep.
And you like if you were to turn on an episode of this nowadays, he's just like this soft panda bear snowflake.
Now?
God.
A new episode?
Showmanship, bro.
Really?
You brought up the point of showmanship.
Yeah.
It's kind of reverse in the entertainment industry. I guess that started rubbing people the wrong way, so he had to go.
Now he's pandering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's probably goes to SJW shit.
Yeah, he's virtue signaling.
You can't talk shit about some kid that can't sing well.
Yeah, exactly.
Not these days.
Yeah. So anyways, I was being rude and interrupting, but I just wanted to bring up that idea of showmanship and how I attribute that to like the media, and I see little bits of that, going on too. That kind of contour people, force people into conformity where conformity otherwise wasn't present.
Well, the thing is, people love the show.
But let's not get on. Let's not get on
thing.
America's Got Talent, though.
No.
Okay, let's not do that.
Well, no.
No.
But no, but in general, like with politics right now, like people love the show.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get.
Oh yeah, what the 24/7 news cycle, the media spin, the Rachel Maddow.
That's why people.
Have you ever watched her?
People, I don't even want to. But that's why people love Trump, because there's such a show to it.
Yes.
That's why people loved Bernie Sanders, because it was such of like the opposite end of that show. It was the perfect counterpoint to the show.
But they both carry their own circuses nonetheless.
Yeah, there were circuses there, and that's why it's like that's why nobody gives a fuck about Biden right now, because his show is really bad.
Well, it's not just that either. It's like, there's only so much you can do in the way of convincing people from your basement in front of a green screen that you're capable of running the country. One might surmise, a sensible person might surmise, that if you can't even walk out of your front door to see the fucking sunlight, then you probably shouldn't be the president. But you know what the problem is, though? The scary reality behind this, the ugly, ugly fucking reality behind the curtain. And this is, I'm pontificating. I can't stand this thought going through my head. Within a month or two, if Biden wins, they will declare him mentally unfit to continue as president, and we are going to get a tertiary candidate that nobody voted for, and dare I say the name? Dare I say the name?
We all know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all know what's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah. So.
But it's clear what they're trying to do. Clearly, they're trying to get to that point, which
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I totally believe that Trump's gonna win again.
I think so.
I don't know any.
Although we should point out that his favorability rating did drop below 40% this week.
Yeah, but whatever that means.
It doesn't mean much to me. Even in the 2016 elections, when the liberal media was spewing all this Hillary Clinton's up by 12 points bullshit, and none of it turned out to be true, because it just turns out that the corporate media in New York has their heads so far up their asses they don't know where they end and the next one begins.
Yeah, they don't actually know what they're talking about. Like they're just trying to push whatever ideology they have.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, all these statistics come out about people not liking Trump or whatever. But it's clearly, definitely right now, people on the right are going to vote for Trump. Moderates are probably going to vote for Trump because they don't want to vote for Biden because he doesn't stand for anything.
Yeah.
And also with all this civil unrest right now, they're probably looking for somebody who's actually going to do something rather than have dementia. You know,
I just beer burped on
Yeah.
on the air. Sorry,
good.
friends. Okay, so I think what I would say to that is that I think you're absolutely right about everything that you just said. 100%. I think you nailed it right on the head. And
so then there's the remaining 8% of America is going to vote for Biden, and that's it.
Well, I think you forgot to add one of the probably the most important and emerging demographics in the United States, the independent. And
True.
I honestly think, to be completely honest
There
with you,
could be a good uptick with independence this time around, but I still don't think it's actually going to.
Independents will generally, as a rule of thumb, will side with the liberals. Mostly. You get.
I don't know though.
Oh, you get some defection from that, but there is a lot of shaming and forcing to fall in line, so to speak, of the independents. It happens quite a bit, but this year I think it's going to be a little bit different with the independents. I don't see the independents having they've seen what happened to Bernie Sanders twice. Bernie Sanders, by all accounts, is an independent running as a Democrat because, let's face it, the barriers of creating a legitimate third-party opposition to the two ruling parties is virtually impossible in the United States. Competition in the political sphere has virtually been crushed, just like it has in every other facet of our lives. It doesn't exist. Mergers and acquisitions and consolidations. That's life right now. But after watching Bernie Sanders go down twice and watching the fashion that he went down in, obvious meddling in the ballot system and the amount of fraud and federal crimes that should be investigated.
Yeah.
Produced by two consequent primaries in the Democratic Party is insane. None of those independents are going to feel confident that the liberal candidate will represent their interest. They've already been told to fuck themselves. There's no reason for them to believe anymore that their interest will be. And I'm saying, like, I'm not ruling out the fact that people will vote for a third party. All I'm saying is Bernie Sanders, when he ran as a liberal, a Democrat, knowing that if he ran as a Green Party candidate or an independent candidate with another one of the 40 parties that are out there that nobody knows of, there's a reason why nobody knows of those parties. They're not given any airtime. They're not given any publicity by the press. They're not given anything. They're not guaranteed anything. Like where was the Green Party candidate this whole time? There was no Green Party candidate. There's nothing. There's no alternative. We got to our point now where we have the Liberal candidate and we know who the incumbent is. But who are all the other candidates? There's got to be 24 of them. How does nobody know of these? This is how they make sure that those votes basically get whitewashed.
Right.
There is no way for that vote to count.
Yeah.
At all.
No publicity whatsoever.
Nothing.
Nothing. They don't even get debate time.
You wouldn't let them on the same stage as,
No.
as the people that you have up there.
No.
Right? Bernie knew that.
Yeah.
Bernie knew that.
Yeah.
You know, that's
a good point.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Trump knew that.
Oh yeah. Trump knew.
It's the reason.
You know,
Which is it's a damn shame that there isn't some kind of outlet for third parties. There should be. I mean, people could start a podcast and do that kind of stuff. Maybe
What
maybe,
would a
maybe
third-
maybe we would
what would a
carry
third
some
party
weight.
outlet at this point look like? If you know what, if you were to ask me what a third party outlet at this point would look like, it would be apolitical, and it would be a simple discussion where people could cooperate and enhance a debate towards a better understanding of what a third party would need to take down the power establishment. It wouldn't be a political. Like once you break down into factionalism, and you're like, no, I accept these ideas, therefore I am. Like, part of being a good political subject, a good political person, is being able to take different ideas from all over the gamut and to incorporate them in a coherent manner to forge a better understanding of how to go about daily dealings, political dealings. That's what we do. We're not supposed to be. It was never supposed to be the case where you're like, yeah, no, I'm blue. I believe this, therefore I am. That's not what this was. I mean, any normal human being would realize if they understood politics that there's many theories of politics, the reasons for things, why things happen. Nobody's ideas fit cozily into one theory, branch of theories or another. They would realize that very quickly, and then they would say, okay, well, I'm not really this or that or anything. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Therefore, if we were to have a true independent, it would start with a podcast very similar to this, I think. It would start with a podcast very similar to this. Like not pretentious, doesn't come at you with a particular angle. Like I've told whoever's listening, there was a time in my life where I would have considered myself not just left, but radical left. But that time has come and gone because there are people that have usurped me in terms of, and believe me, now I reflect on it, my ideas weren't nearly as radical as some of the stuff that's going on out there. But it's ever since that, and especially since my schooling, I've absolutely removed myself from thinking about life in this binary red-blue dichotomy. My ideas don't fit cozily into any of those paradigms, politically or, So,
Clearly.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I think most people would not fit into those categories.
But they wouldn't know it.
It's a little bit too polarizing.
They wouldn't know it. They do, though. They readily associate with the polarization, even though they know it's not in their best interest.
They pick something like if you grew up in a liberal household, maybe you pick something that's a little bit. You pick something on the left. That is okay with how you see the world, and you say, okay, I'm gonna have to do that, even if the rest of their policies don't make any fucking sense to you.
Let's use a razor sharp example here, okay? Just to cut through the fat.
Yeah.
If you're part of the LGBTQO community, for example, there are very, very, very few right-wing LGBTQO members.
True.
Yeah. So it's one part of the policy that they're voting for, the part that gives them the social justice. But are they ensured that the social justice they're affording comes with political rights, the economic rights, identification right? No. It's just one party giving you fucking lip service. They do the same thing to the African American community.
Right.
Year after year after year, especially with the elderly African American community, just blindly votes for the Democrats. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Right. So it's absolutely crazy when you think about it. It really just doesn't.
Well, that's the Democrats' narrative. It's they say that they stand up for minority groups, but they really don't.
No, but it's extra votes though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pandering for extra votes.
It's a good number of extra votes. So same thing with the Latino community. Under Barack Obama, there was never a time in the American administrative history where there were more people deported back to their home countries in Latin America than under the Obama administration. Yet Obama somehow, through rhetoric and rewriting of history, imagine how we're getting back to that after 4 hours, is actually painted as a hero in all of this shit. And not only painted as a hero, but Trump is being lambasted for his immigration policy that isn't literally as bad as the former immigration policy. But that's how the media is able to spin the narrative and tell you that you should look the other way while Obama's in office, but you should be outraged when Trump's in office.
Right.
Absolutely.
And what do you think that comes from? Is it just because, like, he's not a politician? Like, he's just... people are just not supposed to like him because he's not part of the quote-unquote ruling class that is supposed to be there?
No. As a matter of fact, he got in because... there's two reasons he got in. He got in because he was familiar to a lot of people, even in Iowa, right? Who could turn on the TV at 8 o'clock and still watch what the hell? Don't remember the name. The Apprentice.
Right.
They could still do that, but also it's a disenfranchisement. So you live in Iowa. You live in the 10th congressional district in West Texas.
Right.
What the fuck does anybody that's saying anything on CNN or MSNBC in New York or LA have any understanding about what the fuck is driving you to be you? Mm-hmm. Your entire country is being guided by two cities.
Right.
And just this cosmopolitan bullshit. Like, can you say Los Angeles represents Americana or New York represents America? No. They're two polar opposites of each other, first of all, but then they're completely opposite to the rest of the country. But you have all these arrogant, hubric assholes sitting in New York trying to tell voters in Des Moines, fucking Iowa, how they should feel about Hillary Clinton or how they should feel about Joe Biden. Fuck you.
Right.
These people are issue driven. They care about how the policies that are being implemented affect them. They don't give a fuck about the pageantry. They don't give a fuck about the circus. They just want the goods.
Right.
That's who Donald Trump, because there's been such a...
Well, it's clear how he got into office.
But there's been
what I'm asking is what the hate against him is it just because he's not an establishment figure?
The hate against him is manufactured. I kind of was touching on that earlier.
Right.
Like a lot of these people that are hating on him in mainstream media, he's got connections with. His friends play golf with their friends, if you want to go back to the analogy we were making earlier.
Yeah.
There's less than 6 degrees of separation between the people that are on CNN telling you how bad of a guy he is every day and himself being in the White House. Honestly. That's the fucking weird thing about it. Is that it doesn't make sense. It's a game. It's a circus. It's a look the other way pageantry move, right? They've been doing things now. Even the Democratic Party, they've been on this impeachment thing for like 4 years with pretty much no physical evidence to indict this guy. I mean, they've tried every single angle. The Russian fucking collusion and the goddamn, I don't know. We had the stripper and then we had the, I don't know, one of the high officials lying under oath. And it's just it's been going on and on and on. It's just stop with the shit. It's not working. But the majority of people in the United States, like when you say, what's all the hate for? You got to draw the distinction between, say, perhaps the media and the average person. The average person may not have as much hate for Donald Trump as the media may portend that hatred to be. Right? That would be my thing. I don't think he's well loved in the country, but there's a tacit understanding between people who have been marginalized by that hub politics for like the last 40 years to say fuck you to the establishment and just decide to do something that's unconventional.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
That's definitely what's going on.
And that's why I always say Trump is a symptom. He's not a cause. The cause of the problem is deeply rooted in the institutional problems of the United States of America. That's not
right.
Does not have anything to do with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nutso that people would, cognitive forgetting of history and how much has led to this. Like, you might as well say at this point, because we're so divorced from history, that Donald Trump created racism. You might as well just go ahead, throw it the fuck out there. The history books, you said it. We're cooking the books. The books start in 2020. Donald Trump created racism. Okay, there, I said it.
Yeah, it's the very first line of the pamphlet.
America was brilliant, and racism never existed until the presidency of Donald Trump.
Until Orange Man showed up.
He created a new race, the orange race.
The orange race.
He loves it.
he does love it.
You take your orange face and your cucumber eyes, and
what a fucking weird guy.
Oh god, that's like, yeah, and a lot of people are like, oh, I'm outraged, I can't, if you're liberal left and you're listening to this, you're probably like, oh, you guys are such Trump apologists. No, we're not. I absolutely divorce myself from anything that has to do with Trump. I'm not on Twitter. I don't read his tweets. I have no interest in following the guy. I'm sure a lot of people that would be listening to this show might do that just out of outrage. But I'm not invested in this at all. This is just somebody just telling you how it is. Like, right. And that's hard now. It's become so inconvenient for people to hear things. Like, there's a number of times I could see the guy at home, like he's just sitting at home and he's like an ultra liberal by today's standards, woke. And probably within the first 5 minutes, he heard a few things that he thought he liked on the podcast. And then all of a sudden we started to get into this like intermediary, let's float above it all to kind of get a view on top down view on what's going on. Yeah. He's like, I can't stand this. This isn't what I want.
Like, no. Fuck this.
I want affirmation.
Slams his laptop down, throws it in the garbage.
I want affirmation.
Immediately waits in line at the Apple store for a new one.
Yep, that's right. Goes away from the Apple store with his Apple wireless earpods, fucking doing a dance that nobody can relate to, like the commercials.
Yeah, doing some crazy dance all the way into Starbucks for avocado toast.
Yep. You got to go to you got to get your avocado toast. By the way, for any of you are highly invested in woke politics, and just the little caveat, I don't want to crush your dreams or anything, but if you're the type of person who considers yourself like an ultra leftist, but you like your avocado toast, just know that you're actually contributing to the downfall of the world in a very, very real way. Avocado is not a sustainable crop at all. I know there's a lot of greenies out there that think, it's a great idea. I just love this bland friggin' fruit smeared on a piece of crunchy toast and stuff like that. And you know what? I mean, I encourage you to read up about some of the countries that have been turned into monoculture economies, like Chile, for example. Just do your homework about where your food comes from. I know a lot of people, they're pretty self-righteous out there nowadays.
The worst thing about the avocados is that, like, California is a big export of avocados, but it takes like a gallon of water to grow one avocado. And California, to my knowledge, does not have a lot of fresh water.
No, they don't.
They have to import it.
Yes, they do.
So really, you're doing so much damage.
Yeah.
So much fucking damage.
Just the ecological costs of actually moving that water from, and we're not talking about small distances either. We're talking about like hundreds and hundreds of miles. They're moving these waters. It's insane. And what the problem is? It's part of it's part of the friction that occurs between global production and sustainability. And, California is right in the center of that argument because, here in North America, believe it or not, a very, very significant percentage of our agriculture comes directly from California, even in Canada. We import a lot of stuff from California. It's because of their growing conditions. They're fantastic. The only thing is they don't have the water to support it, right? A lot of people don't even realize that palm trees aren't native to Los Angeles. Did you know that?
Really?
They're not native to Los Angeles. Yes.
So, what, were they brought there from?
Brought there from the desert.
From the desert, eh?
Yes. Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
That's really weird.
No, it isn't. when you think about it, why don't any of the other counties around Los Angeles have palm trees, but Los Angeles does?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
You know,
Never thought about that.
fucking, what is it?
Okay, but what about Florida?
Florida's real palm trees.
Okay.
Yeah, Florida's real palm trees. Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. 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 Isn't that fucked up? Yeah. So anybody who wants to read up on that, I highly encourage you to do that too. That was the idea of bringing in palm trees was part of a beautification project, a city beautification project. I believe that started in either the late 60s or the early 70s. And they used to have street shrubs along the streets. They used to be lining it. I can't remember what the name of the shrub was, but a lot of people would say like it was ugly. They didn't like it. So they went about a beautification project where all the major boulevards, they pulled out all the bushes and they relined them with these palms.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I never even.
Welcome to school, motherfucker.
Fuck. Okay. Palm trees.
School's in.
Well, to their credit, it does make it look very nice.
Sure it does.
It's fucking very nice.
Part of the reason why is it was done for movies.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
There is definitely like a very nice
Part of the reason why they
view
did
to it.
Well,
I
they
mean,
thought it gave Los Angeles the feel of being an exotic location. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they hit the mark on that one. I just figured I'd throw it
exotic, no. But definitely interesting. Kind of nice. I mean, they do that in a lot of different places now. I mean, there's spots in Vancouver that have palm trees.
What?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Well, they bring them there and plant them there.
I don't like it.
Because of the moderate temperature in Vancouver, they apparently can actually survive.
That's insane.
So there are some. It's few. It's put there for like aesthetic purposes for sure. But yeah, I guess they can survive in that climate.
You know what would look really pretty this time of year? Skid Row in Los Angeles. I bet you the palm trees are a perfect soliloquy background to the homeless people lined up row and row and row with their tents.
I'm sure the homeless problem there right now is
we live
getting to critical mass.
For anybody who doesn't understand,
they just closed down again.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, fully.
So for anybody who doesn't understand, just a little bit of background on the city. The city's about 625,000 people. Hamilton, it's about 625,000 people, maybe 800 with surrounding area, maybe 800,000. And we have a homeless problem here. It's pretty obvious, right? I often wonder what a city like Los Angeles looks like right now. Like it's one thing to be a much bigger city, but I think it's another thing to be a much bigger American city right now. What do the big American cities look like right now? Where are they hiding their indigent?
I don't think there's any hiding at this point.
Well, I mean,
now.
If you're a world city, Toronto does a pretty good job. For example, we got to go back to Toronto. It's 45 minutes, northwest or east of here. And you got to go back to that example because it's like, I think certain cities do a much better job of hiding their indigent problem. I think every city to a degree has an indigent problem. I think it's much tougher to find in Toronto. I don't know if they just do it if they go harder in their downtown area. Because it's hard. Like I don't really go out to the Shires very often.
The Shires.
I don't visit the Six.
The Six.
I don't visit the Six. Love y'all, but don't visit the Six. I mean, you guys must know that you guys are only being incorporated for population purposes and for the purposes of feeding the egos of the people of downtown Toronto. But really, they don't give a shit about any of you guys.
They don't go up.
They ain't coming out to North York, bro. I'm sorry, they're not.
They're not going around.
They're not going to Brampton.
No.
You know what?
Absolutely not Brampton.
I mean, I'll tell you what. It's
Scarborough.
Yeah, it's a hard enough sell to get them out to Etobicoke, and that's still considered part of Toronto, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right there. Like, it's almost hard to avoid Etobicoke.
Not coming from Hamilton, you couldn't.
Yeah, it's like wherever you go, Etobicoke's there. It's fucking in your face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody goes out to the Shires, people. It's
No.
It's a sad reality of Toronto. Toronto only counts as the 6 when we're talking about trying to make it a bigger place than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's honest to God truth.
But it's not New York.
It ain't New York.
It ain't no New York.
It ain't no New York.
You don't got those sweet bagels.
Yeah. The Brooklyn pepperoni.
It's fucking New York slice. Toronto doesn't have shit.
Yeah.
They don't have any of that.
I mean, like when you're it's a nice museum piece, in my opinion. It's a nice museum piece. It's
museum piece.
Yeah, it really is. It represents something so fundamentally different than other parts of Canada because it's been created almost as something that was special. It was a special project aside from just the daily ongoings of Canada. Like you and I have had discussions about this in the past, what Toronto looked like when I was a kid. Toronto wasn't the same city when I was a kid. There was no 6 when I was a kid. Like there was, but they weren't. It wasn't a mega city. Yeah. So when you go to Toronto, the sign would say like 785,000. Made it feel a lot more human compared to like coming from Hamilton.
Yeah, they hadn't figured out the idea of making mega cities and how beneficial that would be for the dominant municipality.
Well, I
same thing with Hamilton.
I don't know. I'm always like I'm infinitely skeptical as to the benefits. It's one thing to have a showcase city, like when you're doing an international news segment and you can pan to the skyline of Toronto in the background. That's really kind of like the best reflection of Toronto. It's a showpiece. That's why I called it like a museum piece, because it's best represented as a picture in the back of a political correspondence on a news or something. You get down there, there's really not a whole one of the things that I've noticed traveling to different parts of the world, for example, is how utterly boring and uninspired our use of space is. Toronto is a fucking boring city. You wouldn't believe it. Like watch drone footage of China. Just type in 4K drone footage China, and like there's just people that take their drones out, go for a stroll over all these cities. You want to see what a city really looks like? You want to see what a city really, really looks like what it could be if everything was done properly, like maintained properly.
Right.
Like it's crazy, dude. It's astounding how far down we've come, how far down we've gone. Bangkok, in almost every way, represents a significant upgrade over every Canadian city. There's really not a city that even competes with it in Canada. It's not, and you could say that for 30 different cities in Asia. Like, there's just so much specter. There's so much stuff. And yes, I did use the word contra to your fourth grade
stuff.
Fucking English teacher's preferences.
She hated stuff.
Because she knew that the way I'm using stuff was the proper...
Too general.
No, she knew that the way I'm using stuff right now in a sarcastic way was the proper way to use stuff.
I don't think... whatever about stuff. Whatever the fuck. Who cares about stuff?
The only way that you can use stuff and come off as an intellectual is if you're being very sarcastic about it. You couldn't fit that in as an extension to a sentence, right? Like I was just hanging out and stuff. No, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just one of those subtle nuances. Anyways, yeah. Sorry.
I think Toronto is like unique to Canada, where it is super boring. It's uninspired. But I wouldn't say that all Canadian cities are like that. I mean, Hamilton has a lot of character, and I like living here.
Yes. Because
of that character. I've got a big soft spot for Montreal. I love going to Montreal.
Sure.
Because it just has... I mean, it has like all of the culture. I mean, a lot of what you think of like Canadian culture is kind of in Montreal.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's true.
But yeah, Toronto's just this weird spot where a lot of people live, but not a lot happens. It's very weird how it's become like the biggest city in Canada, and yet nothing really is going on there.
Is Mississauga just a smaller Toronto, or is Toronto just a bigger Mississauga?
It's the same fucking bullshit.
So there,
just another stop on the highway.
Chew that fat.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if you go to like a real city like New York,
Yeah.
like there's clearly something going on.
There's
there.
something different there.
Yeah, something way different.
Although I'm going to tell you, if you do choose to entertain that 4K drone footage from China, you're not going to have the same perception in New York when you're done.
No, of course. I've seen a lot of images of Chinese cities.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You wouldn't even
It's
believe
fucking it's beyond logical. Like it's just
You see,
there's so many people.
You see the LED skylines and shit? The fully immersive lit up buildings that fucking, they all light up in sequence and shit. There'll be songs playing and fireworks going off, and the buildings all have this sequenced LED. It's like, what the
It's
hell?
insane there, but it's the kind of thing that you can do when the average size of a city there is like 15 million people.
Well,
Like when you can just do whatever.
okay, so
Like it's insanity.
the average size of a city isn't 15 million necessarily, but
They're all big cities.
all
Of the cities are big cities.
I looked at the top 50 world cities, and believe it or not, I'm pretty sure now Chongqing, China, is actually at the top. Not Beijing, not Shanghai.
Oh.
No. I'm pretty sure it's
Of the world.
yeah, 31 or 32 million people in their
Holy shit.
metropolitan area.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's in West China. Well,
Damn.
it's in central West China, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's before you get to the desert.
Tokyo held that claim for a long time, though.
Long time.
Yeah, and
Long
that's
time.
definitely similar idea. If you look at like aerials of Tokyo, it's like it's like you're looking at cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Hey
man,
it's insane.
talk to me about cyberpunk, bro.
It's like this insane super city from the future,
Have to get my video game.
and it has
on.
vending machines with panties in them and shit. Weird city.
The cyberpunk of tomorrow today.
It's a little bit too real.
Yeah, especially when they give the description of the girl that was previously wearing them.
Well, it's important.
It's part of the whole shtick.
It's on like a playing card. You can trade them.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, collectible
Trading cards.
collectible trading cards. Yeah,
Yeah.
You wonder how that came about.
There's a lot of. I was talking to my buddy about like Japanese culture the other night, a couple of nights ago, and he couldn't believe what I was fucking saying, especially when I brought up the panty vending machines, which is prevalent in Tokyo. Not so much in the rest of Japan. Obviously, they're not all like that, but there's a lot of crazy shit that happens in Japan that doesn't make any sense to us. Like they have weird like brothels where you can just buy a girlfriend for an hour. It's not sexual at all. It's just like because they don't really have relationships there. Something in their culture is kind of like wishy-washy about that. So that instead of
Can you like elaborate on the breadth and scope of what one would expect to see in said brothel? Like what kind of brothel? Because it doesn't. First of all, it doesn't sound like a brothel. The way you're explaining it to me, it sounds
Remember
like
that weird karaoke bar we went to
Oh well, yeah, we've been to
a long time ago?
yeah. Okay.
Where we were in like a room.
Yeah.
Like it was a private room with like a private bathroom. Like it was basically like a bachelor apartment that you
Who are we
rent for the
buying?
hour.
Who are we buying company with when we go into this brothel? As a
So in the
potential
brothel,
male suitor.
if you're going to a brothel and you're a male suitor and you want to buy
we're here for the
girlfriend-
reasons we think we're here for. Okay.
a girlfriend for an hour, it's literally you're paying for the girlfriend experience. Zero sex whatsoever.
That's not the girlfriend
But
experience at all.
you're yeah, not in our sense, but you're paying for that kind of thing. But women do that as well. They will pay for guys to hang out with them and like talk to them about their day and shit, and like
Well, there's definitely
they drink champagne or whatever and they hang out. And it's weird because like they don't have that kind of social outlook on life. There's something going on in like the youth culture there where like that idea is kind of broken. So they don't have relationships. So they pay for the relationship experience.
The quilt of Japanese society is torn.
Yeah. It's very odd.
I wish, you know what, it would be interesting. I think in future shows, maybe what we should do is we should do a little bit of underlying political philosophy, and then we should take it to another place that people don't usually talk about, and we should expand the concepts of that political thinking onto these places to try to help people get an understanding of how different ideas see, like, I think what I'm trying to get at here is like perhaps what Luke was just saying about Japan is something that's completely foreign and nutso to you. Like they're
probably very weird
They're
people.
they're maybe you know what, and it goes further. It's weirder actually in Japan. There's a lot of other weird stuff. It gets weirder, believe me. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on stuff. You know, that's you know, the lolly culture and shit like that, where there's a fetishization of underage girls and like this. It's a very interesting culture. Like it's very, I guess, just different. And there's no way to reconcile certain things that
it's weird because all that stuff seems so incredibly weird to us, and yet it's kind of like a
normalized.
It's par for the course there.
Yeah,
people don't think about it so much.
It's hard to come to terms with.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, just to get people to understand, like, you know, this kind of goes with the greater theme of not being able to see the world through just one specific lens or one, you know, particular viewpoint being more right than another. There's so many different ways of seeing the world that just kind of drown out by the CNNs and the MSNBCs and this just cultural homogeny that's being spewed day in and day out, you know, that you're expected to take in as if it's factual information. It's just a bunch of nonsense and indoctrination, and you really kind of owe it to yourself to expand your horizons to, you know, like, for example, I mean, you know, to go back to some of the enemies that have been created for the last 5 or 6 years, you know, you talk about the Russians and obviously the Chinese. Go and do your homework about these countries. Go and do your homework about the history of these places and think for yourself, judge for yourself if you think that these countries, which really don't have any precedent for doing what a lot of these pundits are saying that they're capable of doing, you deserve to choose for yourself whether you want to believe that narrative or not, right? And I mean, like, once you do that, you probably come to the conclusion like Luke and I have. There's certain parts of different cultures that are savory. There's other parts that lack desirability. But when you compare them against our own cultures, they're no better or worse. They're pretty much exactly the same thing. It's, you know, nothing, you know, they're different. They have their different traditions. They have their different foods. You know,
well, everyone kind of lives in a bubble, you know?
Sure.
It's like no matter what country you're from, you kind of think that country is
the best.
Not even just the best, but you think that's kind of the norm. I mean, we were talking about this earlier about, like, if you're going to travel to China, you have to understand the drug laws.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, we can smoke weed here publicly, but
there's
other countries aren't okay with that.
Yeah, another thing for all you fools that are going to be or might be or considering traveling to Asia is check out the vape laws in your country of origin or your country of landing, because you may be surprised to know that in some countries vaping is actually illegal in Asia. So yeah, so there's different laws. You gotta.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah, well,
you know,
it depends how close the tobacco monopoly is to the monarchy, I guess. I believe that would be the case in Thailand.
I suppose so, yeah. I would assume if you're gonna hang out in China, they probably wouldn't care so much.
I don't
considering
think, I
that
think
the
would be okay.
The technology was
it's there.
Made there.
That's theirs, yeah.
So
yeah,
they'd be okay with that.
I agree. In some ways, China's more progressive than the rest of Asia.
In a weird way. China's just fucking weird, man. Like, there's some things where they're hyper progressive, and some things where it's like they're in the dark ages.
The truth is, like, we've progressed with our thought process about how to digest the information coming out of China and how to address their policy implementations. But the reality is, like, we were talking last weekend, we were just on the cuff deciding, okay, fuck it, let's just do a podcast and just talk about this stuff. Okay, fine. Mm-hmm. But like, we got on this huge conversation about China, and you were grilling me for a long time. It's like, you know, about all these things, like would I live there and stuff. I think that was like one of the marquee questions you asked me, would I live there?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, unequivocally, yes. Like, yes. Because if I went there as a foreigner, for example, I would probably have a job. I would probably be able to find a job. Like, they have a weird assessment system for their foreigners, right? They grade you based on the potential merit that you provide to their society. No real difference than what Canada does with their
right.
immigrants, right?
Yeah,
they want the top of the
best.
crop from other countries. They don't want the low hanging fruit.
Yeah, that's something people don't understand about immigration policy in countries.
Yes.
Like, we're not taking anybody.
We're not just you know, that's the funny thing.
It's very selective when you actually look into it.
Yeah, we're definitely not just taking anybody. We're taking the best of the best, and we're leaving the bottom of the barrel in all these other countries to fight it out amongst each other.
Yep.
So if you ever wondered why, you know, Nigeria is a shithole, I mean, I don't mean that in a literal sense. I mean a political shithole, you know, and obviously lacks a lot of regulations and standards, like, and you know the difference.
If you take out all of the I don't want to say like the smart people,
yes,
or like the people that could actually do better for that country, if you're taking all of them out and bringing them here, what's left in that country? That's the idea.
That's right. Who comes to power? You know, personalistic leaders that bribe and fight and kill their way to power, and probably were corrupt to begin with. And guess what? You have a cycle. You have a perpetual cycle of bad leadership in Africa.
Yeah, basically it turns into idiocracy.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to go that far. I think that was the name of a movie.
It was. Yes.
I'm not going to go that far. Okay. I'm not taking it to that.
But that's
level.
the idea. What happens when you take out all the responsible people and bring them somewhere else?
Well, the academic term for it is called brain drain.
Brain drain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In academic circles, the phenomenon of extracting the best and brightest out of former colonial societies is a very well studied fact. Like, I mean, I was writing papers based on papers that were done in the 70s and 80s about brain drain. How we were bringing in, like, you know, these people from North Africa and shit like that, highly qualified people that could have stayed behind and rebuilt their own societies if only they could find a job that paid them what they were worth. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
It's a very weird phenomenon.
Hey, I mean, you know, like, you got to understand the culture here too, right? Like, after World War II, like, the United States and Russia were in a fucking virtual all-out war to buy Nazi scientists.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
So, the brain drain is not exclusive. I mean, it's part of every.
Yeah, we weren't taking the people who were devastated by the war. Or
Fuck no.
Like no.
You stay home. Werner von Braun will take you.
You need to stay and rebuild.
Werner von Braun, you're going to build our space program.
Yeah, we don't care if you live in the Eastern Bloc now. We need the guys that are actually going to do shit.
Listen, you know that UFO you built and crashed?
Did they kill a bunch of you? I don't care.
Oh, you were part of that. Oh, well, listen, it doesn't matter. Your knowledge is more beneficial.
Well, it turns out this guy is trying to develop a death ray that we want. So we're going to go with him.
Yeah. So anytime the Western countries point fingers at any other countries for all the heinous shit that they've done, I mean, there's numerous amounts of examples where people have been able to look over war crimes for the sake of, you know, economic expedience. We have real world examples of that now with the relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia. You know, does the United States care about democracy and freedom in Saudi Arabia? Why are they selling us on this program when they're bombing the fuck out of Libya and Syria? But arguably the countries that require the most re-engineering, so to speak, by your own way of looking at it are the countries you're technically leaving alone. It's because they're aiding you and assisting you. They're your friends. It's not about political ideology. It's about your friends and who plays ball.
Yep.
It's about your friends and who plays ball. It has nothing to do with spreading democracy and freedom. That's such a hoax. It's a farce. It's nonsense. It's garbage. It's all garbage.
Oh, yeah.
What a fucking joke. So, I think people like us, we get to a certain point in our lives, and it's like you have to go on a political adventure with yourself and start to think about, to reinvent yourself and start to think about all the things that you hold as fundamental truths and all the things that maybe you're not so concrete on, and find your way to getting a better understanding of those things and being the most well-rounded and educated political student that you can be. Because, and the reason why I keep bringing this up, I should qualify this. The reason why I keep bringing this up is because every fucking person I meet in line now is an armchair politician of some kind. Every time I even say hi to you now in a line, I'm standing in line at Walmart, you want to have a political conversation with me about stuff. And to my fucking detriment, I used to engage you, that guy or that girl in line.
How they start the conversation.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It always starts
hey, how's it going? Like, where do you align?
No. It'll start with an observation.
What are ideas?
It'll start with an observation. It'll be like, man, this stuff is never going to end, right? Yeah, if Trudeau didn't fuck up the response to that, that's how it starts. We've all been there.
Yeah,
Give me a fucking break. You've never had this conversation. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah,
Every single person now I meet is an armchair politician because they've been armed with false knowledge on YouTube or shit. They've gone down a fucking rabbit hole and convinced themselves that what they've seen here is the truth.
Oh, like the dude we met earlier.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Magical.
Spewing all the jargon that he found on the internet about COVID.
You wouldn't believe how many 20-year-olds have died in the last week, guys. It's devastating.
They're all dead.
It's devastating.
Didn't you hear?
There's nobody left.
Every 20-year-old died.
There's nobody left.
Yeah. They all died. They never had pre-existing conditions.
They died, but
it's impossible.
They died, but they came back after they were cured. It's troubling. And yeah, that guy wasn't any more than probably early 30s.
Yeah, maybe.
Would be what I would say, right? And completely sold on the narrative that this thing is just COVID-19 is a legitimate killer that all of us need to be looking over our left shoulder for. Like, it's around every corner, friends. Like, just stop your whole life. Don't go to work. You don't need the money.
Stop everything.
It's not like money. It's not that big a deal. It's not like they're going to keep charging you rent while you don't have a job, right? They couldn't do that. Oh, wait.
Wait a minute. Uh-oh.
Wait a minute. Well, my life stopped. Why didn't their life stop? Oh, well, that's the economy.
Yeah.
Get with it or get left behind.
It's fucking insanity. But people think like that,
Yes, they do. They absolutely do think like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're convincing younger people now, it used to be that you would at least get a little bit of levity out of younger people. Like, yeah, I kind of think this, but I'm seeing this, and I don't really know if, I have questions. That's okay. I like that. I have questions. Okay, that's good.
Right.
We can work with that. That's Play-Doh right there. But if we're talking like, this is my way of thinking, Trudeau fucked this whole thing up, and you know what? I think that thing with Trump and Russia, I think that's just like, I think we need to bomb Russia right now. Well, you know what? I'm dealing with cinder blocks, and I'm not going to bother trying to crack that with a stone hammer. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
It's tough talking to people these days.
It's hard.
Really
Everybody's a goddamn armchair politician. Everybody thinks they have the unspoken angle.
Well, everybody saw one YouTube video, and they think they know they have all the answers.
Yeah, but there's always that guy who thinks he's revelatory too. It's like he'll chime into the there's 4 of you now engaged in this conversation in the Walmart line. And you're all armchair politicians, and you're all talking to me about shit, and I'm trying my best to pretend you're not even talking. And this one guy will chime in and it's like, you know what I heard? I heard it was developed in a disease lab in Wuhan. Okay, dude, listen. Shut the fuck up, okay? Shut up.
A lot of people think that, man.
Shut up. Sorry, that was just sorry. I think that was the wind. You're being an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a government on this earth that would ever do something that stupid. I'm sorry, there isn't. Let alone the logic of releasing it on your own people to begin, in the hopes that one day it may make its way across the Pacific to the wonderful land of opportunity to affect as many people as possible. I'm not sure I buy that shit. If you buy that shit, you need to do a little bit of homework.
It would be so problematic to actually do that. If China was like, we're going to unleash this on our own people, and then they're just going to spread it, whatever. Instead of just like, you wouldn't try to control that. If you're actually going to use it as a weapon, why the fuck would you do it that way? Very counterproductive for them.
You're absolutely right, it is.
Yeah.
Like, there aren't enough Chinese nationals that enter the United States on a daily basis, and they could probably easily sneak it into the country in some way, shape, or form. It could be snuck in a package coming from UPS from China. It doesn't. Why would they originate it in a fucking fish market in the middle of their own country?
The way, man.
No. Take it to the logical extension of this argument. That one guy in line who thinks he's coming up with this revelatory angle, who's telling you now that he thinks it was produced in a lab in Wuhan.
Yeah.
And he's looking around for affirmation, too. He's like, what, you guys have heard this? I can't, this isn't news? Yeah, it's fake news, stupid. You're an idiot.
I honestly think that it was lab created, but it's not malicious. Because when you look at it, it's something that labs have been doctoring for a long time, working on coronaviruses and seeing how they mutate and what kind of vaccines you can actually make out of that. Like, there was evidence that came to light really early on, like in March, that said that this strand of coronavirus actually came from a lab in Canada, because they were working on it because it was like a derivative of the SARS virus, and they were trying to figure out how it mutates. So they sent it to Wuhan, to the lab there, to also research on that. And I'm honestly thinking that somebody fucked up, and it ended up getting out. Somebody just wasn't properly cleaning afterwards, and it kind of fucked up.
Okay.
But I don't think it has anything to do with like malicious intent or anything like that.
So I'm going to swallow my crow here.
But there's not a lot of evidence to say that it came from a fucking wet market and people were eating bats, and then all of a sudden this virus came out of nowhere.
So I'll eat my crow. And I will say I agree with you. Perhaps maybe the better partition of my feelings on this matter shouldn't have been the idea that it could or could not have been created in a lab, because I do believe that the lab theory is plausible. But just like you say, the intent, the malicious intent, is not something I subscribe to. Like the germ warfare.
Again, it comes down to that. Like, would you infect all of China and put China into a complete crisis in the hopes that it would get to America at some point? Like, is that your plan? Like, no, you would just fucking figure out a way to put it on like a raft or something. I mean, everything is getting shipped out of China to the States right now, so you would have figured out a more lucrative way of actually doing it. Well, I honestly think a scientist was just fucked up one day,
dude,
and the Chinese government is keeping it under wraps because they don't want to look bad.
A lot of viruses are aerative. You can spread them by being in the same area as somebody who sneezes or coughs or even talks. There are viruses that, cold viruses, flu viruses do transmit in these ways. Believe it or not, if you wanted to transmit a virus of this nature, you could literally put it in a UPS package and you wouldn't know any different. And send it to the U.S. You could literally do that. You wouldn't have to put it in a bat market in Wuhan. It wouldn't make any sense to do that.
No.
Unless you had some sort of...
It made it easier to tell people that that's how it happened, rather than saying, we fucked up really bad. Because that comes down to, like, the Chinese ideology. They really don't want to look bad.
No.
That's everything that they do. That's why they're so secretive. Is like they don't want to look like they've been fucking up.
When everything that you do can be bastardized and twisted in a negative way, you're very, very careful about your self-image. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They know that the rest of the world.
That's part of their history.
They know that the rest of the world, not the rest of the world, but particularly the Western world, is against them.
Yeah.
They know that there's an anti-China rhetoric going on that's basically permeated the entire world. You know, coronavirus has really aided that in the sense of developing a deep-rooted hatred and distrust for the Chinese.
Yeah.
You know?
It kind of backfired because the bat narrative just makes them look barbaric. And people are really pushing for that. Like, oh, look at these fucking crazy bastards who are just eating bats all day, every day. Like it's like the main course at every meal. It's like, no.
I have bat with my rice every morning.
No. This is insane.
I bat with my rice every morning.
I don't eat bat all the time.
I like deep fried bat wing.
There's a small amount of those kind of wet markets that actually exist.
They're delicacy markets. They're not everyday food markets. They're where
they have crazy shit in there, but that's not where like normal people shop.
No,
for food.
No,
like
no. There's normal markets in China that sell regular vegetables and fucking fruits and regular meats, just like every other place. And I know a lot of people would be shocked to know that.
That would be like saying every Canadian does all their shopping at the farmer's market.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, like fucking Fortino's exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people buy normal groceries.
Yes, they do. Although they still in a lot of places in Asia, they still buy them in market style settings. There's no doubt about that. But the markets themselves, they're not all specialty markets. Mm-hmm. Like you'll walk through a market, you wouldn't know the difference if you walked from one market to the next. One could be like a specialty market. It could have like a bunch of like delicacies, shit that you wouldn't see everywhere. And then you walk down the next one, it's all fruits and vegetables and, pre-made soups and stuff like that.
Okay.
Right? Like it's not, it's, I honestly, I never saw a wet market quite like that. I saw a market in Thailand that had animals for pets, but not animals for consumption, and the animals were pretty exotic. So
really,
yeah,
like ocelots.
I don't fucking even know what they were. No, what's that? What's that endangered spiky little guy? What's his name? What's he called again?
Porcupine.
Come on, dude. Seriously?
I don't think that's endangered.
We're sitting here talking about fucking politics, and I'm going to forget what a porcupine is?
I don't know. You said spiky.
No, it's super, super. I mean, it's like considered, it's becoming much rarer because it's being hunted all the time. But,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know the little guy.
Yeah, that was something I saw like on fucking CNN. They were saying that because apparently they have those in the wet markets in China too.
That's right.
And CNN was saying they eat these things.
If anybody knows the answer to this conundrum we're having right now, then please fucking post it somewhere. I don't even know where we're posting right now, but actually we're not posting anywhere. We don't even have a board to post to.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we got to get our shit together actually.
We'll figure this shit out.
Just recapping on things. Like it's one thing to be able to have a good conversation. I think that's the bread and butter of a podcast, no doubt, right?
Well, this will go out.
Good.
Still gonna post it.
Fucking good.
Still gonna go out.
It's the way it should be. Not only is this going to be like episode 5 in the Luke Hamilton experience, it's also probably episode 1 in a brand new experience. So
multifaceted.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, this problem could be fixed if we were doing like a YouTube live stream,
which we could,
because you could actually do you could have a live chat to it.
Yeah,
and then people could actually comment while you're talking. Yeah. It's really cool because I've been watching Tim Pool's podcast recently because he's been doing one like every fucking night since COVID happened. Because what else are you gonna do when you're stuck at home, right?
That's right.
So it's been really cool watching that because it's live. It's on YouTube, so they stream it live through YouTube, and they have a live chat with it. So it's kind of like this interactive interesting thing where they blurb for maybe about an hour about like certain things in the news and stuff like that, and then they go to the live chat, and then people ask them questions and they comment on those questions. Really cool way of doing it.
I agree.
But they got a lot more money than I do, so they have like cameras and shit. they have a good way of doing it.
I don't think you should technically look at money as the object. I mean, a lot of these people.
But they have the proper equipment of actually doing something like that.
Well, they also have a leg up in the sense of probably having at least a base audience at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Tim Pool got his base audience. I'm assuming he's been around for a while.
He has.
Yeah, just so all you other podcast listeners out there, if you're out there, I actually don't listen to any podcasts myself. That's a horrible admission.
That's brutal.
Maybe
you gotta get with it, man. There's a lot of good content out there, man.
No, I watch the YouTube versions. I don't literally just listen to podcasts.
I would say the YouTube versions are probably better. I like the video aspect of it, actually.
Humans are very visual beings.
But I do listen to a lot of podcasts as well, like on streaming services.
Yeah.
Because of the convenience factor. Because you can
because
you can throw on a podcast and like hop on the bus or
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Can't you do that with
ride a bike or whatever like
because if you don't have 25 gigabytes of data.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder to like watch a video if you're
you're one of those
riding a bike or walking down the street or something like that. So
yeah, I agree.
But for the raw entertainment value, if it's like 8:00 at night and you're queuing up that live stream, that's fucking nice, man. That is the new entertainment. That's the new cable.
I think
live streams.
Yeah, and
that's
I think
the future.
More than anything, like being in its infancy at this point, whether we continue on with your podcast or whether we end up branching off and doing our own, it's like, it teaches you pretty quickly. I mean, the content is there. Come with a legitimately good angle and some good messaging and some valid points. I mean, you don't expect, in this day and age where everybody is very factional, you don't expect everybody to agree with you. But I mean, it's nothing for me to accept, critical feedback from somebody who would be listening here and was willing to respectfully disagree with some of the points that are being made. I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
And I'm totally down to have a back and forth with those individuals too. It's just the vitriol. You got to get rid of the vitriol. You got to get rid of the hate. It would be nice to be able to condition people to believe that once they step inside, if they were interested at all in listening to the content of this podcast, to metaphorically speaking, just take off your fucking shoes and leave your baggage at the door. Right? Would be the most significant message that anybody could give to you, because if you're listening to this show and you're already invested in one side or another of any particular debate, it's probably enraging. It's probably enraging. You're
depending on who you are.
You're waiting for confirmation that you're right.
Oh yeah.
This whole time, and I'm leaving you hanging, and I'm not gonna give you that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. That's the point.
Is that the point?
That is the point of at least what I'm trying to do here.
That's good though. No, I mean that's the way it should be.
I'm not gonna take a hard left or a hard right in anything in life.
No.
So it's better that we have conversations like this where it takes a bit from both sides and understands the greater scheme of things.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot more people need to understand. Like there's a lot more out there than just you're super woke or you're a fucking neo-Nazi. Like there's a lot more out there than that,
Yeah. Yeah. The fight that's going on in some parts of the world is not the fight that's going on in the majority of the world, But I mean, the great part about it is, I always think back to this. It's like getting back to like how the idea of coming to do a podcast about political issues and stuff like that, or at least talking about it on some sort of open forum. Like, this is like 6 years in the making. we're talking 7 years in the making. Like, this goes back to like porch conversations we would have when we were younger and just getting wasted on our porches back at our houses and just talking about life until like the sun would come up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had a different way of articulating my viewpoints back then. I was probably a lot more, I don't know, crazy. Magoo.
A little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
Marxist. I
Yeah.
guess.
Well,
maybe.
Marxist. Give me a fucking break. I don't necessarily think that I advocate for Marxism. I don't.
And I think I was a little bit more aggressive, high, so high, all the time.
Maybe I become less aggressive when I'm high, and you become more aggressive when you're high. Maybe that's what it is.
No, I was just aggressive in
substance
abuse.
The truth is, the truth is, eventually we're gonna get some cameras in here, and then you, the viewer, could decide if we've actually gone up or down, depending on, you know, if I've got high during the show or if we've had too much to drink. And then it's hard seeing it from an inside view. Maybe you guys can provide some outside perspective on that.
Well, they would see some shit, man. They would see the Buddha statues.
I honestly think that. So we got one side of a room that's wide, and we're narrow to one side of the room that's walled. And I think if we were going to put a camera in here, we'd have to put it to the wide side of the room.
That was my plan.
Yeah,
that's why the desk is here.
The orange towel, it just does it.
The orange is good.
Got to get the orange towel in there.
Yeah. 100%.
We got to get the orange towel in there. That's like the most essential piece of this whole. It's a piece of art in itself.
Yeah.
I
mean, I gotta save up for these cameras. Cameras are not fucking cheap. Well, as I've recently found out, and I think that the best way of doing this is a 3-camera shot. So you have a wide angle and then two angles.
Okay.
Coming at.
Well,
but that's gonna cost me a lot of fucking money.
Well,
yeah. Well, also tripods.
Also
lighting, because once you have cameras, you need adequate lighting.
Yeah.
Because this like what the room right now seems like I got a lot of lighting going on here.
Yeah, but don't the new cameras come with low light adaptability?
Some, if you want to pay a lot more.
All right.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Well, why do I have to pay millions of extra dollars for something that my Samsung Galaxy does?
Hundreds of millions of dollars. We're not trillions. Oh my god.
You got to make up numbers at this point.
We got
gajillions. You have no idea.
Gajillions. We got to call Paul McCartney.
We got to ask him for his billion.
I need a handout, Paul. I need a single camera.
You need a hand job, Paul. I need a handout, Paul.
Jeff Bezos, help me.
Oh, no. Don't be reaching out to Bezos.
You're my last hope.
Don't be reaching out to the Zos.
Yeah. But, yeah, you know, I mean, podcasting on one end is a very cheap thing. Yeah. I mean, this hasn't cost me a ton of money.
You already had all the equipment.
I had a lot of this equipment already. Microphones don't cost too much. This mixing board, $100 maybe. The laptop is probably the most expensive part of this equation.
He bought an Apple.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
I don't care. Let it fucking marinate.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting on its last row.
Let it marinate.
It's doing
Listen,
good.
Enjoy it while it lasts. You'll never get another CD-ROM. You'll never get...
This is an old one, man. This is an old school one. My buddy was commenting on it the last time I showed it to him, and he's like, that's an old computer. I'm like, 2013. That doesn't seem old to me, but, I mean, this is the last line of MacBooks where you could actually fix the problems, the hardware problems with the actual MacBook. I've updated the RAM on here. I want to get a solid state drive.
Whoa.
It comes with a hard drive.
I don't, are you really, you're throwing it down with the SSD, huh? I don't know. How much is your computer worth?
It's a little bit faster.
Yeah. It's faster on load up. It's faster loading your applications. Yeah, it is.
Well, it makes it easier, especially for something like this, because I'm recording on GarageBand, which takes up a lot of fucking...
I can record...
It takes a lot.
I can record video gaming on my laptop and still play.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Macs. They don't work.
Well, see, that's the special thing here.
Yeah. The operating system, very nice, very easy to use, very aesthetically pleasing, but the computer itself doesn't fucking work.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
forgot exceptionally outdated.
Yeah. Hey, well, if you're getting rid of your laptop, man, I'll take it. I'll take it. Because I can run all the same bullshit
Oh, yeah.
on that, and it's probably going to be a lot
It's lightning
a
fast.
lot easier.
It's lightning fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. You can do your podcast and you can do all your research at the same time when you're fumbling for answers. See, I didn't afford myself that opportunity today. I brought a cell phone and had 40% battery with it.
Bad move.
Nobody ever comes to a fucking podcast armed with a goddamn cell phone for knowledge.
You could have wrote down notes, I guess. I don't know.
Hey,
Whatever.
we didn't
Who
even
knows?
come up
Who
with
cares?
any sort of basic categories for how we were actually going to unfurl this.
That's the point. I like that though.
Well, I think in context, like if we ever got to a point where we were doing video and shit, then we would have to take the feedback of the people that we were, that were actually listening, whatever, if however many people that was.
If you want to do like a weekly podcast where it's just me and you, we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
But I like doing podcasts this way because it's whatever goes. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Go against my structuration then.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. That's
I
fine.
was just thinking some loose topics, man. You're so hostile.
I don't know. I love that.
You're not receptive to ideas. You're not woke.
I am not woke. They're gonna cancel me
Yeah,
eventually
you fucker. Yeah, tomorrow.
for not making it easier for them or something. Whatever the fuck.
There's some line here, and you're not towing it.
They have to figure out the line first.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
true. Yeah, what's the angle?
What's the angle? How can I take this person down?
They're joining all the frustrated people who are just waiting for something to happen so that they can.
No, but I'm totally down for that. If you want to do a weekly podcast or something, I'll figure out how to do the affiliate RSS feeds.
We'll post.
There's a little bit of mechanical work that has to go into this shit.
We're gonna post this mofo to Luke's channel. What's your channel?
Haven't set it up yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. Yeah.
No.
Well, that's not good.
I had a previous podcast called B-Side, the B-Side podcast, and that was running for a little bit. But then what I found out is that having a podcast about music and then doing podcasts like this, where we're talking about anything, kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Also, what I also realized is that there's like 15 other podcasts that are called B-Side podcasts. So that's a conflict of interest.
God damn.
Yeah, it's difficult.
You're never gonna get any play with that.
Oh, it's tough. It's weird. And
given those negative experiences,
they accept it
Yeah.
though. It's like nobody ever says like, "Oh, because this is the same name as this podcast, we're not gonna host it." They're just like, "All right, whatever."
Given this tremendous disappointment, I'm kind of surprised you're sticking with like the Luke Hamilton show. It seems like something in a world full of fucking
very
podcasts,
broad.
somebody out there would have called something the Luke Hamilton show.
No, I doubt it.
Watch, you type it in on fucking DuckDuckGo right now, and I guarantee it'd be like some Australian fucking game show or something.
Yeah, some dude. That fucking rugby player in England already got it to me,
The Luke Hamilton show.
Yeah, I've googled my name.
Oh no, please no.
Yeah, I have once. Is some like rugby player
Really?
in the UK?
I
also named Luke Hamilton.
I have Googled my name before, and I'm very, very happy to announce that not a damn thing came up. That just makes me so happy.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
That's rare.
No fucking Facebook profile. No nothing. Right. Like it was. It's an exhilarating experience. This is how pathetic and pedantic our world has become. When you Google yourself, you're just relieved that nothing shows up under your name. That's an absolutely phenomenal thing, if you ask me. No such thing as privacy. No realistic expectation of privacy rights anymore. It's just a complete free for all. Yeah, but I mean,
There's like a million Luke Hamiltons, but
I got out of Facebook like 15
somehow
years
becomes
ago.
a common name, but nothing under the name Luke Hamilton Tonight, which is the show name.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
I expected it to be some like late night host in fucking Canberra, Australia or something.
Yeah, the entire show is him fucking punching wallabies in the face. As is the national pastime of Australia.
Wallaby tipping.
Just fucking head down, man. Yeah. I was researching wallabies
Oh God, come
the
on.
other day because I've clearly lost my mind.
Because you've got you've just got like an unspoken fucking desire to learn about marsupials or something.
Random shit, man.
Beautiful.
Just random shit. But I
Beautiful.
was trying to figure out what the difference between a wallaby and a like a kangaroo was.
Yeah. And what did you find out on your adventures?
Nothing. I don't know what's going on there, but there's like a million different types of kangaroo, and some are wallabies, and
There you go.
I don't know, man. Like that's a lawless wasteland of a country.
They're all the fucking same.
There's a lot of shit going on there.
That's a bloody shame.
There's a lot of shit going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research on Australia when I was younger. It turned me off of Australia for the most part. It's like, wow, this is like a place where everywhere you go could fucking kill you.
Oh, it gets you fucking good.
Doesn't make
You ever
any-
seen thylacines?
No.
Oh, thylacines look like dogs, but their coat looks like a cheetah,
Really?
and they can open up their mouth like super fucking wide.
Really?
Yeah, like this.
Ugh.
Oh, it's crazy.
God damn.
It's crazy, man.
Wow.
Except they're extinct because they killed all of them.
No shit.
Yeah, like for fun.
Wow.
Yeah,
I wasn't ever aware of
which
this.
is too
This-
bad because they're fucking crazy looking.
Yeah. Well, what, like you're going back in
They're
time?
the nickname was the Tasmanian tiger because they look like a tiger,
Yeah.
but they're like dogs.
Yeah.
But also, they're not canines.
No. In the same way that a Tasmanian devil is not a devil.
No, it's not technically the devil.
I'm sure there's at least one person out there who we're blowing their mind right now.
There's some guy named Jeff is just like, whoa,
Dude,
it's not the
2
devil.
a.m. What the fuck?
It's not the devil.
You can't blow my mind like that, man.
To reevaluate my life decisions now.
Get me some fucking avocado toast. I'm happy to pay Skip the Dishes $12 delivery.
People do that.
For my $8 avocado toast.
I can't believe people like order avocado toast on Skip the Dishes and have it brought to their fucking domicile.
It's
First of all, it's $10 for that.
yes.
Second of all, the value added charge of Skip the Dishes.
Do you know what pisses me off? If you went to a
So
restaurant,
$1 million later, you have fucking cheap toast with cheap avocado. on it.
restaurants spend so much time trying to arrive at the right price discovery for each of their products. It's not just a portioning for portioning of every ingredient that goes on that menu. It's also a perceived value, right? What the fuck is the perceived value there?
Avocado doesn't even taste good, man. I don't fucking.
Do you know what bothers me the most? So these are the same people, these Skip the Dishes crowd, the fucking Grubhub, whatever the fuck you want to call them, Just Eat. These are the same people that would be sitting in the restaurant a year ago bitching about how much the prices are.
Right.
And now, everything has just changed. Everything has changed. I'm okay all of a sudden with paying $10 extra for my food. It's like, hey, do you want a pound of wings? That'll be $25. Well, okay.
Okay.
Okay. But only because they're being delivered to me cold and soggy.
You really checkmated me here local pub. You see that I don't want to leave my house.
This poutine was both the most expensive and the worst I've ever had.
I am satisfied.
I am going to write a scathing review of this restaurant now.
Your poutine sucks because it is cold.
First of all, guys, it took 45 minutes to get to me after I ordered it off Grubhub.
I know I ordered it from Montreal, and it took 9 hours to get here, but I demand better service than this.
I just expected fresher.
As a person who has never left his house, I demand better service.
I just expected fresher. It's like... You know, when I ordered my $25 chicken wings, my $25 pound, I didn't realize that the driver would have 6 separate deliveries before he got to me. And it's your...
That's a good point.
It is your fucking fault. It is your fucking fault, Joe Wing. It's your fault.
Yeah, the driver's trying to make money here, you know? He can have 100 fucking meals in his back seat.
It's bad.
Going around town.
The whole system leads to unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. If people weren't being overly cordial for the fact they didn't have to leave their homes and they could just be fat asses at home and eat their fucking fat ass food, well then, you know, this whole concept would never fly. There is absolutely no way. And I'm just joking about the whole fat ass thing. I mean, I've thought about ordering, you know. I still get pizza delivered once in a while, even though the pizza store is right around the corner from my house. The fuck right do I have to be talking about that?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But at least the delivery driver at the pizza store gets to keep his own tip, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't give balls. This is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. This is ridiculous.
Pizza places are holding it down because they have their own in-house.
That's right.
Service.
Yeah. They didn't create a diseconomy by getting people
They figured it out. And they figured out the first.
Yes.
Pizza places had to have their own in-house delivery because it was going to make them more money, obviously.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. And, you know, at some point the pizza became the order-in food. Pizza and Chinese food were really the order-in foods for a long time. Mm-hmm. You know, it didn't really transcend that at all. And
it's not a value-added thing either. I mean, there's a pizza place that's like a few blocks from here that I usually walk to. But during like the beginning of COVID, you couldn't actually go in, so you couldn't actually go in and order and like wait there, which is fucking brutal.
It's an intercom system.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah. What the fuck do you want?
Yeah. So I had to you know order for delivery, and the price you pay for the pizza doesn't change if you get the delivery.
No.
Which just allows me to tip more, which I'm happy about
because you know
the delivery
exactly
guy is great.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because I know exactly where the fucking money is going.
It's when they flip that
because that guy actually works there.
It's when they flip that $3.75 surcharge for delivery onto the bill.
Yeah.
You're paying you got to believe you're paying them like 80% of that fucking money. You're paying the company 80% of that money. They're probably paying out 20% of that defined amount, and then on top of whatever you give them as a tip. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, the thing is with Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes, because I work at a restaurant and I know how it fucking operates. You pay a monthly service just so you can use the app.
Yep.
And then some dude comes to your restaurant and picks up the package, the meal, and
you made it sound really suspicious there.
The package, and
it's in the lockbox in the back.
Then to the user, another fee is added for that service.
So they're getting the user and the business.
So it's hurting the user and it's hurting the business.
Well, this shouldn't, these are diseconomies, right?
Yeah.
This is when real jobs, when real 9-to-5 jobs and the expectation of having a 9-to-5 job broke down after university, I mean, the system had to come up with like some sort of stopgap or failsafe to keep people from completely losing faith. And really, all these internet-based, app-based fucking service providers are really just niche middlemen who are making money by not really providing any particular service whatsoever. I mean, you look at Uber right now. Here's the thing. You sign up as an Uber driver, you sign up as an independent contractor, so they absolve themselves of all responsibilities for your personal property. But they're perfectly happy to use you and your personal property to turn a profit for the company while you make a zero-sum profit. And yet there's so many people who believe in these side hustles and these gigs that they're not long view people. You can't hate on them because they're taking the short view to their financial problems or whatever their immediate issue is. They're not trying to be ignorant to the fact that in the long run they're not making a cent out of their job. But the companies that provide these apps, they're fully aware of the fact that there's zero value. It's a marketing scheme similar to the ones that we were talking about before. These app-based businesses are marketing schemes. They're a way to insert yourself into a process where a middleman wasn't necessary to tap extra profit for no particular reason.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's it's garbage, and
like Uber too.
Uber's the worst.
Yeah.
Every single time a new app like this comes out and the public eats it up, a little piece of me dies.
It gets sensationalized as this new thing that's going to help you and benefit everything you do.
No. Nobody ever asked the questions of help. Asking questions of help would apply.
No, that's what Uber was marketed as. It's like it's so much cheaper than a taxi. It's the exact same price as a taxi. Like it's there's absolutely no difference whatsoever.
That's right.
Except the drivers make even less than a taxi driver does, and they have to use their actual fucking car.
Oh, and they don't have workers' rights.
Yeah,
they don't have workers' rights. Yeah. They're independent contractors. If something happens, we don't. They're not actually employed by us.
Uber's not liable for anything.
They're not actually employed by us. We're just they're independent contractors. You didn't understand. We sold this psychologically as a good idea for people, and then when shit hits the fan, guess what? It's the worst thing that ever happened. And
Uber drivers are out there thinking they're going to make money.
No, they're not.
It's a pyramid scheme.
It is a pyramid scheme. Yep. You're making people in fucking Dubai extremely rich while you're using your own material resources to fucking, like what Dave Chappelle said, have fucking strangers fart in your car.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's stupid. It's so
crazy.
But you know what?
Nobody sees it that way.
First of all, like there's two words that I would use. There's two terms that I would use to describe this. Diseconomies. That means economies that are created for the sole purpose of extraction and don't necessarily benefit anybody. So those are diseconomies. And there's economies of desperation or economies of misery. And this whole idea of the independent contractor doing the side hustle would not be possible without the economy of desperation. Would not be possible without a very, very large pool of bodies who are desperate for a second income because for whatever reason their actual primary income doesn't cover their costs. That's sickening. That's actually sickening. And you know what? The economies of desperation are something that's come along. So you know how fast these fucking assholes are analyzing the market trends. Because the economy of desperation has only been here since 07, 08. So they were able to turn around and capitalize on this like within a decade, right? Creating all these diseconomies and economies of misery and economies of it's amazing. It's taking advantage of people's, exploiting people's vulnerabilities is what it is. How else could you get somebody to rationalize using their 2017 Honda Accord that they just got on a lease for $45,000 a year, $45,000, not a year. But how can you justify to that person that it would be a good idea to now take that car and use it to shuttle strangers around for a meager couple peanuts? Right? How can you get them to look past the fact that they need a $150 oil change every 3-4 weeks, 5 weeks with the amount they're driving? How do you get them to justify that they're going to be paying $2,000 to $2,500 in maintenance fees if they're driving their car that much every year? Is anybody doing the math? No, because no, it's an economy.
They see the upfront amount of money that they can actually make.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like anything. It's like any job, really. I mean, if you're gonna live in the inner city Toronto, you're gonna live downtown Toronto and work in Toronto. You got to factor in transit, your housing, your day-to-day life.
Oh yeah.
Whatever happens in between.
Oh yeah.
Anything like that.
Yeah.
So exactly how much money you're gonna make off this job?
Yeah.
A couple bucks.
So
Like,
what you're talking about is the
the
difference between real wages and the difference between purchasing power parity.
Yeah.
So, there's the difference between what your money really is and how much your money's worth. Right. So, the value of the money on the face of the bill will remain the same no matter where you are. But based on where you live and the circumstances around you, the value of that money will change drastically. So how much it costs just to buy a carton of milk. You've heard all these arguments about, it could be milk, it could be like a fucking pound of apples, and how these change depending on your geography and cost of a metro ticket, cost of a metro pass, cost of, like there's certain things that are built into that. So even though you and I...
Well, even more than that, I mean, like we both know where, like, my dad works.
Yeah.
Right? And where he lives.
I can see where it's cutting into his profit to drive from where he lives to where he works.
So it's like if you're gonna drive that distance, now you need to buy a car.
Well,
now you got to pay for the insurance. Now you got to pay for the gas. So exactly how much money are you making doing this per year?
Yep. No, exactly. I left
spending thousands of dollars a year just to be able to get there.
we met in a different region of this province, and I left that region of this province for that very reason. I was working in that province, and I was living in not province
in that region.
In that region, and I was living in this region, and the cost of going back and forth at a certain point, it became. I wasn't. It wasn't like I was making nothing, but it was that the amount that I was making was being significantly diminished. Yeah. Yeah. Having to pay $20 to go back and forth if you're working only a couple shifts a week and shit like that, if you're going back and forth 2 or 3 times. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it takes a huge toll. Right? But, it's, your father and my mother are pretty much in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a stupid.
It's constantly traveling for work. It's like, what's the point?
Oh, work sucks.
You're spending so much money just to get there.
Not only that, you spend 8 hours at work, you spend another hour and a half both ways. You've literally spent 80% of your daily energy devoted to work every day. It's like, and what? You get the last couple years of your life to kick around, the ones where the quality of your life is diminishing substantially. Then you're finally allowed to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Like,
hopefully you like the job that you're doing, which is really rare.
Luke, nobody fucking likes the job that they're doing. Come on.
Some.
No. I wouldn't say I hate my job, don't get me wrong. I would just say it's kind of like going through the motions. It's not a love-hate relationship for me, it's an indifferent relationship for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but I totally believe that some people actually like
you go back to the wishful musician thinking is what you're doing right now. I can see it in your head. It's like
I fully believe that Jeff Bezos likes what he's doing.
I don't know if he does or not. I just think he has a plan.
I just
think he has a plan and he's trying to.
I think if he hates every second of it, he wouldn't be doing it. Well, because nobody's forcing him to do it.
What does it say?
He's just doing it.
What does it say that he gets divorced? Like, I mean, okay, so him and his wife, I'm assuming, I don't know, I shouldn't assume, but he ends up giving his wife half of everything.
Yeah.
A guy that willingly just says, here's half, fuck off.
Yeah.
What kind of person are we talking about here?
A guy that has more money than anyone ever.
No. I mean, how does that type of personality overlay on his objectives? Like, how does that give us an insight into who he is as a person, so to speak? Right?
Right.
I don't know. I think it's a guy who's willing to like buy away all his problems. A guy who really just doesn't want any confrontation. He just wants constant reinforcement that what he's doing is so great.
A guy that loves what he's doing.
Oof.
Clearly, because he's not willing to give it up for anything
else. I would surmise that not everybody that loves money loves what they're doing.
I think we're talking about two different things here.
I don't think so. I think he loves money.
I think he loves what he's doing.
I don't know if that's the case.
And he loves money.
Like, what indication?
And both things can happen at the same time.
But okay, so like, I mean, like, what indication? I mean, you have to sell me on this because it's easy for me. I'm just taking the low road here, just saying like it's all about the money. It's not about the enjoyment of what he's doing. But you actually have to evidence based.
That's like the Amazon thing is like a macro version of any small business. Like I know small business owners and they love money because it allows them to do the thing that they're doing.
Right.
So making money is just part of it. So they love money because they can keep doing the thing that they're doing.
But if it's an everything store, how can you love everything?
They like he likes the idea.
The idea.
His entire idea is to make this thing.
So it's
in order to get money to do more things.
It's not about.
So that's why he's.
Well, so if he was so fucking engaged in his primary business, then why does he have so many other business ventures?
Because he likes doing it.
Well, maybe he's.
I don't think anybody's.
Maybe he's just using his primary business venture to facilitate all his real interests.
But does that mean that he hates doing it?
I don't think so. I don't. I didn't.
By the way,
I did not say that. I did not say. I was at the point of saying like he was indifferent. I wasn't at the point of saying he liked it or hated it. You said that.
But that was the the conversation that we're having. People that don't like their jobs. It's like clearly this guy likes his job if he's going to continue doing it.
And I'm saying it's because he's making like fucking $300 billion a year.
That's part of it.
No. You're seeing the money. You're actually seeing the money as a byproduct in this. Smart.
Hey, like
smart.
You know, if you're sitting around,
look, I'm sure the Koch brothers,
running a corporation that makes you that much fucking money. Maybe you like it. I don't know.
I'm sure the surviving Koch brother doesn't like walk around trying to tell everybody about the virtues of clean coal because nobody wants to fucking hear it. It's a business that they got into because they were making a lot of money. Okay, it's not sexy.
Sure.
It's a means to an end, essentially. And I feel that way about a lot of business people. I'm sorry, I really do. I don't feel like
But do you think they're just like clearly like we're wired differently, but like maybe they just fucking like that. Their entire idea is to make money, and money is happiness.
No, that's pretty much what I'm saying. It. No, I'm saying they like the money. That's what I said.
But they like doing the thing that gets them the money.
That's debatable.
Then how else are they going to get the money?
Because they have an idea, and regardless of... Even if they're not enthusiastic about the idea, they know it's a good one. I know.
So if their entire... Okay, so if you could make $1 billion scrubbing rocks in the hot sun all day... You think they would still do that?
Yes. I 100% do. Yep. You would. I would.
I don't think so.
Yo, bullshit, you wouldn't. You just put out an unruly amount of money and you said, doing a menial task will earn you this reward. Are you not human? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's hard to fucking do, man.
Are you serious? Fuck you. You're coming away with $100 billion here. You're saying you wouldn't scrub rocks. Is that what you're saying? Come on, buddy.
But it's the same idea.
And I'm saying, yes, I would.
Okay, so...
I would hate doing it, but I would fucking do it.
Okay, so in the same idea...
I don't know if that was the example you wanted.
You would hate running Amazon, but it would make you $1 billion.
I wouldn't want to be running Amazon. But it would make you that money.
Yeah. So,
I
in the same analogy,
yeah.
you're saying you would do something like that
I don't know
to make the money.
I don't know if I'd do it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I believe in a certain level of corporate social responsibility integrated with profit, but at the same extent, if I started up a store that ended up being successful, even though it wasn't my primary interest and it showed the potential to generate billions of dollars, yeah, I would definitely pursue it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I know. It's fucked up,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money talks.
It does. It certainly does.
In a weird
Now,
way.
now again, would I take the same route as Bezos in terms of how he's decided to use his money, how he's decided to grow his empire? Probably not. Does my empire at the same time frame as Amazon currently reflect or look like Amazon at this point? Probably not. Because I'm making decisions that aren't about, like, you know, where it diverts between somebody like Bezos and us is the decisions that get made along the line that lead to the alternate endings, so to speak. Like, we arrived here based on a culmination of decisions that were made. If we went back in time, we wouldn't make the same decisions. Therefore, the company may reflect something fundamentally different.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
Sure.
yeah. So, yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a typical human inclination. It's like, even if you're egalitarian, what's the first thing you think about? I can feed my family. I can sustain my family. My family can finally live free. Like, think about all these things that come to your head. Like, even if you're, like, not self-centric, you're still thinking, all right, you're like, yeah, you're right. So I'll get my family taken care of, and then I'll start to do other good things. And you know what? Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure a lot of philanthropists have started out in that vein and probably ended up not in that vein.
But that clearly doesn't work for anybody who has money.
No.
Because you see the people who win the lottery.
Yes.
And they blow that fucking money
Completely.
immediately.
Doesn't
in
this
like
go back to
a couple
the
months.
conversation we were having in part one where we're talking about how plebs spend money as opposed to how disciplined intellect spends money, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
So if you're, but it comes down to, like, if you're gonna work for that money, then you're gonna spend it more wisely.
Yes.
But if you win the lottery, you win like the Mega Millions in the States or something like that.
Oh boy.
Win $300 million.
I'm a big winner.
You're gonna blow that fucking money.
Am I?
Maybe not you or me, but like, but
Well, you just said you.
But fucking,
You might as well pointed a finger.
I don't know. But you know, Jim Bob McGraw that like wins the lottery. He's gonna buy like 18,000 yachts and then like I don't know, beat off until the sun sets, and then that's it.
Then
the money's gone.
He's gonna divorce his wife, and then he's gonna buy the yacht, and then he's gonna buy the two hookers, and he's gonna sail off with the two hookers. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 Well, he's gonna lose half of it in the divorce.
Yes.
But then spend the rest on hookers.
That's right.
And then that's over.
He's still got $40 million.
Is he thinking about? Is he thinking about his parents? No. Does he think about, like, you know, whatever kids he's having? No.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe he's not.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think there's definitely
But how many people actually work out their winnings like that? Almost none of them.
Really?
Yeah, they just
think
blow it.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, you could blow $40 million in a day.
It's well documented. A lot of people just fucking blow that money.
But okay, so I don't disagree with the idea.
They don't hold on to it. They don't reinvest it.
I wouldn't argue at that point. That would contradict what I said earlier about the different. That's why I brought that up, right, when you started saying it. Like, you're right. Like, there's a difference between the way plebs spend money. If it wasn't for the plebs, the economy would never work. That's why we're sold one story and the ultra rich are sold another.
Yeah,
they know better. But no, I mean, you know, the difference there is that you know, for me, I think that there are a large degree of people who, like, you know, win that, you know, plebs, I mean, that win that fucking Powerball and think, Jesus Christ, like, I can bring my family out of the shit. You know, I think there's definitely some people out there. Do I believe there's nefarious people out there? Yeah, of course. Fucking of course, right? There's different people, no matter what viewpoint you take, no matter how extreme or normalized, there's always going to be somebody who fits that bill, right?
Yeah.
There for every 10 people who want to share the money for their family, there's a Jim Bob who fucking wants to sail off into the Atlantic with hookers in a yacht.
Mm-hmm.
So you just
it's definitely interesting.
especially given the analogy,
Well, it's something to do.
you gotta sail off into the Atlantic with some
Hey.
hookers once in a while.
Jim Bob McGraw.
It really, it's one of the spices of life that I think everybody has to experience at least once. High-priced hookers from New York. They've never been out of the city either. Hey, bitch, you want to?
Never been out.
Hey, bitch, we're going to the ocean. What?
We're going to Easter Island.
Rapa Nui.
Yeah, true. To be politically correct.
We're gonna see some heads.
Not those heads.
Not those heads. Not the. Those are cones.
God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Imagine
No.
bringing hookers to Easter
Yeah.
Island.
Oh, that would be great. That would be a mind-blowing experience. If you ever
For
wanted
everyone
to be,
involved.
if you ever wanted to be more,
Ooh.
if you ever wanted to like think of things that you could do to be out of place, like in the extreme, that would definitely be one of those things I would consider. Like fucking
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's show up to Buckingham Palace in a fucking T-42 Russian tank or something.
Just to hang out.
Hey, say hi. I was just in the area.
I was just passing by. Wanted to see the fountain.
Listen, those stupid hats aren't going to save you.
Yeah.
You better bring out the pepper spray. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if you had infinite money, you could do that.
Yeah.
You could do some crazy shit if you had like a lot of money.
Yeah, you could buy 2 islands in the Bahamas and then fly a whole bunch of fucking underage girls there with a whole bunch of political elites and blackmail them all while you get away scot-free, i.e. somebody hangs you in your jail cell and your girlfriend fucks off never to be seen again.
Yeah, it's almost mandatory.
It's amazing what you can do.
When you have that much money.
It's amazing what you can do.
Oh, yeah.
You can conceal.
Oh my God.
You can conceal underage rape. You can conceal murder. You can conceal extortion.
Yep.
Fuck, how much money do you have? We can go all day.
Just pay people off.
We can go all day.
Blackmail them, whatever.
Blackmail them all.
Yep.
Yeah. You notice all those people on the island where Jeffrey Epstein's plane landed, and then had to get off the plane and then to go drive to a dock and then get on the dock where I'm sure hundreds of people would have seen him, for years. Never said a word until he was incarcerated and dead. Why? Why? Is he paying people off at the dock?
Probably.
Paying. These are not people of great means. These are
Right.
not people that can afford to speak out against somebody who can afford to disappear them if they say something fucked up,
Yep.
right? Oh, absolutely.
Pay them off.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Couple of bucks.
Get fucking rid of them.
Couple of bucks.
Couple of bucks. Yeah. 2,000 in the local currency. How much was that? 45 cents.
Yeah.
I feel good about this. I think we've got them right where we want them. Yeah, and you can't blame them either, right? You can't blame them for being bought, their silence being bought, because
It's a safety thing at that point. Like, you don't know what the fuck's going to happen.
like you come home one day from your fishing wharf and your kids are gone,
Yeah.
or you're, like weird
Someone
shit.
just breaks into your house.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like it, like you can imagine the fear and the uncertainty that probably passed through these people for a long period of time.
Yeah. You walk into your house, your entire family's tied up.
You wouldn't want to see that shit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to see that shit.
This is real world shit.
That's what we
This
hope
shit happens, you know.
I
They think it, like, people think it's all Hollywood, but like that comes from something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and I think especially the elites, they're so good at sight unseen. The stuff that they do. I mean, how long did the Epstein thing go on before anybody even said a single word about it?
So fucking long.
They're
man.
so
long.
good at compensating and covering for each other. I had that one coming.
Oh, I knew that was gonna come.
I had that one coming, yeah. So they're so good at compensating for one another and, being apologists for one another. And so that's the bigger issue here. You're dealing with a class of people who don't play by the same political rules. They have their own politics. They've got their own class of economics. They've got their own social system and their own social circles. They have nothing to do, completely disconnected with the common person. And the common person is crying for help all over the world right now. And they're like, why? What's happening? These are the greatest times ever. You know, why is everybody crying? Like, I'm making more money than ever. Somehow their success is directly attributed to the plebs on the street or something.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
That's a fucking phenomenal thought. But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. So yeah, so you know, going forward, hopefully we get our shit together. We'll keep it loose. We'll keep it loose as opposed to trying to create a rigid structure, right? And maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to a point where we've got cameras in here and we're actually doing it on YouTube, and we can. That would be great.
That's always it's always been the plan.
I'm always happy
get some
to
cameras.
Take questions and get shat on. That's kind of the name of my life right there.
Yeah.
Take questions, get shat on.
Yeah.
You can do both. I'm here for you.
It always it brings up so many other possibilities if you do a video podcast.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, like, you know, you're bringing in, so when you're sitting here one-on-one with people, you're dealing with a very particular line of questions. You're dealing with whatever questions come to you by way of somebody, you know, the other person on the other side who's actually asking you these questions. But when you've actually got a video feed and you're actually looking at some of the questions that are being presented, perhaps they're coming at the conversation with different angles that we're not actually touching on, which is good.
It's a more of a open conversation.
Yeah.
Which is something I like about the Tim Pool
Yeah.
podcast.
Okay. Well,
where it's like you can kind of do that.
this is it.
That kind of thing.
Tim Pool,
But it's
we're
fine.
coming for you.
Tim.
Don't look behind your shoulder, Tim. We're coming. We're coming. We're coming, and we're coming hard.
It'd be all about it. Fuck.
In a world where there's only 4 Jan Michael Vincents.
Oh my god. I was thinking about that earlier.
And 8 quadrants.
8 quadrants. We need a Jan Michael Vincent in quadrant C.
Oh god. All right. Well,
Great
you
show.
know what?
Anyway.
I mean, it's to that point where we're probably going to sign off for the night. So
We gotta fucking end it.
yeah, we're going to throw it down for you.
We've done way too much talking, way too much bullshitting.
Thank you very much
too
for
much
listening
stuff.
to my shitting. Thank you very much for Luke Hamilton for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming on.
No worries, man. Anytime.
Thanks for coming to my hot box.
I was very impressed by your hotbox, other than the fact that we're still going to have to create that false Patreon page for that Dyson air cooler that we'll never get.
Yeah. We'll never get it.
We'll never get it.
But the hope is
Maybe what we can do is actually write to Dyson and just be like, hey, give us a fucking air conditioner.
Eventually we'll actually get it.
maybe that'll go over well. We'll put in a good word for you on the podcast.
Oh, maybe we can get to the point where Dyson actually designs the apartment.
Wow. Ooh. The whole wall.
Yeah.
It's like a circulating thing. Bladeless fan.
It's like a smart house
Oh, no, please no.
that you can just talk to it.
No.
Hey Dyson, cool my balls.
Hey, toilet.
Hey toilet.
Hey, toilet. Yes? I don't know. I just felt like saying, hey, toilet.
Hey toilet.
I just can't believe you can talk to me.
The toilet actually talks, and like the lid moves when it talks. That's the weird thing about it.
Hey, toilet, what? Blast my ass with the bidet.
Hello.
Yeah, anyways, okay, guys. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honest God pleasure. And we'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.